You know anything about the finance department? No? What with you, credit? You know anything about credit? IT? Okay. What else? Operations? You know operations. Okay, but do you know finance? Do you know IT? No. So how do you, as a compliance officer now, not just your department, or I'm operational based, so I know operations. Can we be effective that way? So how do we as compliance officers ensure that this entire company is compliant? Yeah, but we ain't going to go get no IT degree, right?
No.
Remember now, you don't know
You have
about
to
IT
know-
at all.
You have to know what to look for.
Okay, so this is why they say you need a certain level of experience. And hopefully you would have come up in your institution from the bottom and you would have learned and have experiences. Not only that, you have to network. You have to bring your managers on board. What happens a lot of times is that we try to take on the whole company on our own and we don't ask for help. That's a big no-no. There's no way, nobody on earth can know in detail every department, right? There's no way you can know if they're being compliant or not. And normally policies and procedures in this company look like this book, right?
Yeah.
And then the IT ones, they ain't even in English. That's another language that they speak. I don't know if y'all work to the same place like where I work. The IT policy completely another language. You speak to an IT professional, that's another language, right? Right. So we need sufficient experience. So it's best to come up through your institution. We need to get our managers on board. We need to be able to read all these big manuals. We need to know how to interpret them. We need to know who to go to for help. And then keep good records, because not only this one time, you're gonna make sure that IT is compliant. Audit coming in, depending on how our company is rated, high, medium, or low, that's every year, every 2 years, or every 3 years. So therefore, we have to have all these notes. We have to remember, you know,
Excuse me.
what everybody does, and we have to make sure that they are compliant. Because audit could come in, audit could write up IT, but who do you think would have some responsibility? What is the favorite line? What did compliance do? Did they not know? Why weren't they proactive? What did they do? Okay, so coming out of these departments that we have absolutely nothing to do with, we don't get paid for this, we don't, you know, here now lies the responsibility on us to make sure the entire company is compliant. Okay, so it's a lot of responsibility. Not only that, the next thing is the compliance professional always reports to the board. Why do you think that happens?
No difference. Management supervises.
Right. Because think about it now. You are not the IT professional, but you have to ensure that the department is compliant. And you see that they are not compliant, right? What you think happens? I report you to whoever. We normally get this from the salespeople, right? I don't want to approve this account to be open because normally accounts have to be approved by compliance. Sales persons, they're paid, they're normally on commission. So all they know is they need to open this account, they need to get this business signed so they can get their commission. Right? And who's stopping this process? Who's stopping this person from getting paid? Why? Because you don't like them. Right? Because he don't make enough money for the month, he don't need no more. Right? So we have to ensure that we do sufficient research, we are knowledgeable enough that when we make these decisions, especially that affect person's money, you know, or their pay, we have all our I's dotted and all our T's crossed, and we know exactly what's the basis of our decision. We need that independence because normally the CEO is attached to sales. He has a quota to meet. Everybody has targets. We don't want that CEO saying, you know, review time coming up. You need to hurry up, close those, open those accounts so we can close these deals, right? And then there is certain criteria each institution requires. oh, the passport ain't eligible, but I can get another copy.
Mm-mm.
Or I didn't get it certified. You always have that happening.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
I don't even entertain it. I say you need to get it and then come back.
Okay, but this is 10 million. I used to work in offshore. This is $10 million deal. This have to be done today.
You gotta make sure you have the correct documentation.
Okay.
KYC.
So, but there's a lot of intimidation. There's a lot of please put this through. There's a lot of let me go talk to the CEO. I gotta put some pressure on you, right? And then, especially if you work in the offshore world, once that account open, you never see those people again. Listen, you have to run them down, beat them up, do everything. You never see them again. Once that account open, you never get those documents, right? And then audit comes in. And so this ain't even IT falling down and you getting the rap for IT. It's your own desk, your own responsibility, where somebody convinced you to do them a favor, right? Or the CEO made you do it because you report to him, it's review time, you don't want to hold up your bonus, right? So therefore, when you go to these jobs, look what you have to go through. You have to go on this interview. First of all, you got to get chosen when you apply to get this interview. You get recruited. They can't hire you yet. You go to the regulator, all this vetting process. You have the job to be intimidated. People don't really follow the rules unless you make them, right? Compliance is the enforcer. So you do so much work now to get this job and you want to be able to keep it. So you have to do it properly. Because normally when they audit, IT already had their problem, credit already had their problem. What the compliance do? Now here it is, you had your little problem where you open one account, never get the passport copy or something missing. You see how your issues are now compounded? You did one thing wrong. But at the end of the day, now what's the recommendation from audit? Compliance is not sound. They're not effective. They don't have the place under control. What have you? Okay? So you don't want that intimidation. You have to make sure that you report to the board. When you take these positions, they normally say, oh, it's a dotted line to the CEO. You say no. Because you will be intimidated by that CEO. Okay? And it's been so bad in the industry that central bank has now stepped in. And central bank now, they've created an analytics department. They've given each institution a relationship manager. And then they've even requested that once per year, they sit with the compliance officer. So confidentially, you can go in there and say, listen, I'm intimidated. I have a dotted line to the CEO. Every time it's my review, I don't get no bonus because I don't do this and I won't bend and, what have you. Okay, so you want to make sure that you report to the board and you're open and honest and you let them know, because like I said, it won't just happen. It's happening in the industry now and the regulator is trying to help. There's sometimes only so much they can do. Okay? And we know that last year, all of our laws were updated. So not only the compliance officer, because in the past, the compliance officer could go to jail. Y'all knew that?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. So now they've expanded it. Everybody can go to jail.
Everybody.
Okay? And in Brazil, the governor of the central bank has been to jail 3 times. The president has been impeached. And many compliance officers have been to jail. Okay? So don't take it lightly that nobody in the Bahamas has been to jail yet. Okay? There was a meeting where we all know who the FATF is.
Guy.
No.
Factor.
But no, that's FACA on the CRS side. You all know the 40 recommendations?
Morning.
No? We ain't there yet? Okay. So it's an international body that works along with the IMF internationally. And so this is how our laws are generated. The international bodies, they create recommendations for countries. They come together and say the world must do this. right, to combat money laundering, to combat terrorist financing. Then it goes before our parliament, and our government puts it into law, right? After it's put into law, then our regulators try to break it down into layman's terms for us. So they create guidelines. So the laws are the same acts and what have you, they create guidelines. From these guidelines, each company then creates policies and procedures. Okay? And normally companies will have something called a compliance legislative matrix. Anybody familiar with that?
That's the law that
No,
governs.
no, internally.
Oh.
So, international bodies, FATF, IMF, would make, recommendations because they can't enforce it. And then there's the Wolfberg Committee, there's the Basel Committee. They make these recommendations for the world, right? Remember, we were blacklisted, right? We were blacklisted because they had made the 40 recommendations and we put through a few, right? We put through a few because we were known as a tax haven, right? And regulation is expensive. Remember now, compliance is new. 10 years old, well 19 years old, right? It came out of the 2000 when we were blacklisted. The world had made these recommendations. And what they do is we sign on to these conventions, we are part of the UN, so we promise to put certain regulations in place to ensure that we're not more competitive than any other country, as well as we're on the same page in terms of what they recommend to combat money laundering as well as terrorist financing, right? And so we put some laws in place. I don't know if y'all remember back in 2000, a whole set of laws we put in place. Prior to 2000, you could go on in the bank, open up an account, no passport, no NIB, no proof of address, what have you. And so after 2000, that was no longer allowed. In fact, it was still like 2005, to regulate all the accounts. Like the gaming board or the gaming houses are going through that now. Before, you could have gone to the gaming house. That's more present in our memory. You could have opened up an account, no ID, nobody even knew who you was, any alias name. Now the gaming persons they became licensed, have agreed to, get the passports, get the national insurance. Miss Dean.
Miss Dean?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
National insurance and what have you, all the KYC documents. So that's where we were at in the financial services sector, right? And those 40 recommendations that said the gaming houses and the lawyers, the accountants, and the real estate persons must do the same was in place from 2000, right? They then revamped those recommendations in 2012. We still didn't do it, okay? And so that's what causes us to be blacklisted. Because we said, okay, we jump on board. We are a compliant nation. We don't want to be blacklisted. But we only put some of the regulations in place, right?
Morning.
Morning. And we only put some in place. Why? Because, like I said, regulation is expensive. We never had no compliance professional before. And think about the cost that comes with that. All this policy, all this procedure, and somebody at a compliance officer, you should be making at least $50,000. But if you have the years of experience and everything else, and you're approved by the central bank, on the trust side, you could make $80,000, $90,000. So think about that. I never had to do this before. I now have to pay somebody $80,000, $90,000. Plus, I can't just hire one person. Now she's saying they say two, right? But the compliance person, a professional needs an assistant, and sometimes a department. So think about cost. And guess what? This department makes no money. Okay? And so just don't, they're looking at the sales. This department now is so costly, and it don't generate revenue. So how do you think these institutions felt? We didn't believe back in 2000 that we really had to do this, and definitely the lawyers said, no, I guess a one-man band, doing legal work. There's no way. Real estate, why have to do this? Accountants, why? Right? So we didn't believe we had to do it. So it takes a few years to buy in. It takes us being blacklisted a second time. It takes the FATF doing a mutual evaluation and telling us this out of place, this out of place, this out of place. And remember now, the FATF is an international body covering the world. There's a Caribbean FATF that we are part, and they have them segregated into different continents or what have you. So think about all the persons or the countries in the Caribbean, would they have to go and do these mutual evaluations for, go look their laws, 91 pages to say. So you could see why it takes so long, right? So it took them years. And so really what we did is we buy time. We put something in place to make sure we seem to be compliant. But when you actually go into the media, you realize, hey, they didn't even cover none of the lawyers, whatever. And look, from 2000 to 2019,
19 years later.
19 years. And so what you think happening now with the law firms and the real estates and the accountants? They have an effect. They rolling over. They saying this could cause some close down. Right? They're looking for an easier way to do it because as a one-man band, I cannot pay $50,000 to somebody to come and not generate revenue for my business, right? And so what we saw last year is the class was filled with lawyers, accountants, and real estate agents who said, you know what, I'm going to do this myself. So they paid the $6,000 and they came to class, and guess what? Their regulator, the Compliance Commission, said that y'all don't have sufficient experience. It's good that y'all are educated.
Wow.
So y'all still have to go and hire somebody
To do
who
it.
has the 3 to 5 years experience. Yeah. And they didn't get licensed in January. Okay? So that's the effect of all this regulation, what have you. And so back to the CFATF and back to me going to jail. So the CFATF came down to Central Bank and they had a meeting, and what they said is that we must really have law-abiding citizens in the Bahamas. There's nobody has been charged with money laundering or terrorist financing. Nobody. And all are good Bahama land. Isn't that excellent? Let's clap ourselves up. No. No.
Slipping through the crowd.
Right. So again, in our mutual evaluations, that was one of the points that they made. Bahamas must be very law-abiding because nobody, okay? And so hence, for the first time ever, who was dragged before the courts? Corruption and anti-money law.
Political.
Yeah. So we saw 3 or 4
It was a couple
politicians being dragged before the courts because definitely the new government coming in and say, listen, it wasn't us that ain't prosecute nobody. Even though they've been in the government before, it was them. And see, now we can prosecute them. What have you? And so they did that. Right? And I had somebody in my other class who worked to the FIU, and she said, listen, we have a lot of persons that we charged. We just never went through with it. We saw that the laws were so defective, right? And all you have to call is one law and one name in this Bahama land to see it. Who's been every case on the technicality.
Yep.
And we just let it rest, right? And so she said they are now going, because we have to change our image and we have to make the authorities internationally feel that we do what we're supposed to do. So as compliance professionals, we are supposed to read the newspaper every day. We are supposed to keep abreast of what's going on in our country and in any other country that we have business with if you work in the offshore world. And so if you read the newspaper every day, you'll see that they revamped the entire FIU, put in new systems of vetting, hired up people, and they serious because we have to have some people charged, right? And so all I saying to you all, and they expanded the law to say not only the compliance officer, but the CEO, the customer service rep, the compliance is to anybody who was involved in any type of money laundering will go to jail as well. Okay, so now they have the manpower to do it. And I guess the experience and the exposure and the international pressure. So they digging up all those cases, but what used to happen is there's a lesser charge on the fraud before they changed the law. And so a lot of persons were just charged with fraud, get their little slap on the wrist and go on. Some people went to jail depending on the amount of money, right? So that's where we are. So right now we are being watched. And so somebody is gonna have to take the rap. And so let's just make sure it's not none of us. Because you know that's what they do. They put us out there. We are inexperienced. We never work in this area. We don't understand IT. We don't understand finance or what have you. And we love to just sign because we in charge. You know? We sign and approve it. Okay? It'll be us going to jail. So make sure you are vigilant and, you know, nobody takes advantage of you. Okay? Alright, so we understand where the policies and procedures come from. Where? Tell me. Because I talk so long now, it's all over the place, you all don't even know what I say. Tell me.
The policies and procedures,
Uh-huh.
the laws, the guidelines, they're
Yeah.
extracted from the guidelines.
Internationally, then the laws, then our regulator will have put out a guideline, and central bank, so we walk around with it as our Bible. And we go to this for every day, right? 91 pages, okay? But at least it's less than the law, and it's about 10 different laws, so 91 pages each. So we use this, and we normally have to write a policy and procedure. We call it our AML directive, right? And everything for the entire company, how we operate, our risk appetite, what products and services we have, what have you. We put in that AML procedure, and then we share that with the entire company, because compliance is normally responsible or has to aid in training of AML, and then anything else, because normally everything that, you know, some companies don't have a training officer, they don't have a risk manager or whatever, so all of that is rolled up in one and dumped on compliance. Okay, so it's our Bible. The Securities Commission took this, and they have a lot of other rules and regulations. But their one is like 19 pages of this. Same thing. I don't know what the gaming board did, but more than likely they go to central bank because they're more meaty, and then they just take a portion of it and they make it their own. So whichever field that you're in, you go to your regulator's site, and everything is normally online. You get the most updated version, because all the laws changed in 2018, because we had those mutual evaluations in 2017, and like I said, when they looked deep, they saw that we had a shell and a lot of meat was missing. So this version is August 2018. So look for the most current version to ensure that you're up to date. And then internally, you ensure that the policies in your institution is up to date. Okay? And then you risk rate these policies, high, medium, or low. And because a lot of changes happen, depending on if it's in a company with the laws in the country, you have a review date annually, so you can make sure, incorporate all the changes in that. Okay? So all of that, and we know every other department has to have like its own policy. But again, from this policy, it has to be decision based. Right? All right, so let's continue. June, we're at the middle so far.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Congratulations, you have just become a part of what is perhaps the fastest growing and hottest profession in the world. Money laundering compliance officers, MLCOs, are highly sought after professionals and quite scarce. I am certain that you are already overwhelmed with both the challenges and the prospects for your new position. The following 5 ideas aim to help you embark on a fruitful and exciting journey where you can learn at the same time prove to be a valuable asset to your organization. 1. Make time to understand your business. For an MLCO to be effective, he or she must make the time to really learn and understand the business he or she is trying to protect. Writing policies, reading suspicious reports, monitoring and training become pointless if you do not understand the environment you're in and the needs of your peers at the front line. Take time to sit with them, engage in their day-to-day activities, and make inquiries in regards to the challenges they face and issues with which they need help. Ask to be prepared to ask and be prepared to listen to what they have to say. That will help you to truly understand what they are doing and how you can become a valuable and necessary partner. 2. There is no shame in training. People sometimes think that when they get their dream job, they can avoid further training, mainly because they seem to have already proven that they're up to the challenge. I have news for you. This is not the case. There should be no shame in receiving training. Training should be continuous even if you are repeating yourself. Try to find training opportunities in your area, in your town, in your country, and internationally. Choose carefully and try to find those seminars or workshops that will help you in successfully discharging your duties. Trainings can even provide you with the ideas of conducting your own training for your colleagues. There are many training opportunities on anti-money laundering and counter-terrorist financing. But there are also more specialized ones about the role of the MLCO and writing MLCO reports. I'm so used to seeing MLR.
Yeah. Yes, there. But we know, like, for our area is MLR.
Yeah.
We know that. Yeah.
It is important to realize and appreciate that the cost of such trainings are very small when compared to the personal benefits you will receive and, more importantly, for your organization.
Okay. So, what we need to subscribe to. Anybody familiar with BACO? What is BACO?
Bahamas.
Association of Compliance Officers. So you go to their website and you subscribe. You can actually join the association as a student now that you're in this class. They require like a CV and some information, but if you plan to go further all the way, you join BACO, that's our local. Internationally, there's ICA. Now if you work at an institution and you're in the compliance department, typically they pay for 2 memberships for you. So this shouldn't be any cost to you. So it normally costs like $200 for the year. So your institution normally, depends on where you work, should pay if they are supporting you in school. The next seminars that are held, Bahamas Financial Services Board, you can subscribe to them. You can subscribe to your regulator, whether it's the Central Bank Insurance Committee, Insurance Commission, Compliance Commission. You can subscribe to the Attorney General's office. And remember, I said we must read the newspaper every day, because as compliance professionals, training normally, any AML training falls under us. And so the other day, the police had a training on cybercrime. Okay? As the compliance officer at the institution, would I say, oh, that's IT related, that don't have nothing to do with me. Right? Talk to me. No, I wouldn't be going to that training.
Yes,
Why?
because that's a crime that is done. Although it's through IT, it's still
Affects the
company.
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 The company.
Okay, so who would you take with you to that seminar?
the IT manager.
Right. Okay. So a lot of times, these managers don't take training seriously. So sometimes you have to mandate that you have to attend a certain amount of training every year. If you're in charge of the department, you should. But what happens is the compliance department is responsible for this. any update, any briefing, anything that comes through the regulator or all these trainings, you are supposed to disseminate the information. So you have to make sure you just subscribe to all these places so you are aware of what's going on, and then you send out invitations to all the persons that it's relevant to, and you ask them to join you. If they can't join you, you have to go there, take notes, and come back and have an internal training within your organization. And I was in an audit with the central bank, and they asked, please send us the emails that you disseminated from us. Any policy or procedure that was updated, like how this was updated in August 2018, they came to us, I think in December. They said, give us the email where you sent this out to the entire bank. I said, oh, I sent it out to the CEO and the heads of the departments. Go to them and get the email where they sent it out to their staff.
Wow.
Okay? So just give responsibility. Show me the last trainings. They said, this is a list of events that we had for the year. Show me where your heads of your departments attended, or show me where you had the trainings when you attended them. Okay? So it's a response. We can't just take it like, oh yeah, we don't have time for it, because of course we're always busy. Our desks look like this and we pile up on the papers. No, but you have to keep current. You have to keep up to date. You have to know what's going on. Alright? And you have to network. Because like I said, it's decision based. Like, right at one of the BACO meetings, I met the head of compliance from another bank. And that bank is being sued. Right? And from just a water cooler conversation over tea, I was able to make some changes to ensure that we don't get sued for the same thing. Right? And I said, okay, please, let's exchange numbers, because I need to follow this case, because I need to know as it goes along to ensure that, I put all the proper controls in place to make sure this doesn't happen to us. So you're not just going to these seminars to learn, you have to network, you have to get to know persons, you need to put your face out there, put your name out there, and be able to call on these persons for help. Because, like I said, it's decision based. There's really no law book for compliance. You'd have to say, call on a friend or somebody who has experience in trading, experience with loans, experience in IT. How do you handle it at your institution? What would you do? This is the problem that we're having. And you won't know all the answers, and that's normally my disclaimer. You could ask me a question, I would have to go and do research. It's too comprehensive for me. Some things I will have the answer to right away, and some things I may have to say, I'll get back to you. And that's what you have to do, because where I worked in the past, my mornings from 9 to 12 was not for on my paper. It was just for answering questions. Everybody came to the compliance department and asked for help. And so, because it was becoming overwhelming, we had to schedule time from 9 to 12 every day. And this was just an institution with 50 persons. My background is I was at Royal for 16 years. So you know how large Royal is, and I was in the trust department. So, and working with traders, they want that now, because you offer a white glove service to the clients. So there wasn't that was all day. There was no scheduling from 9 to 12. But you have to know how to do research. You have to know where to go and look and who to ask, because you have a limited amount of time. You still have to get through your day's work. But if you don't get in the habit of doing work, research, getting contacts, knowing who's the knowledge source in your company, how to get this information as quickly as possible and make the right decision, so you don't go to jail or nobody else, the position will become overwhelming. I would say, so get into the practice of reading, subscribe to every country. We had clients in Russia. I couldn't say I didn't know what was happening in Russia. I couldn't say one of our clients from Cameroon went to jail. I couldn't say, oh, I didn't know. Right? So all these funny countries, if you work in the offshore world, the Basel Index updated, and they gave each country a corruption perception index. And a lot of the prime ministers or presidents of Caribbean countries had gone to jail and been impeached. So all those countries had very low indexes. Our correspondent bank said we don't do business with banks or with countries that have a low CPI index. So y'all know what I mean when I say correspondent bank, where I would send my wire through a US bank, and then it would go to Cameroon, then it would go to Russia. And all of a sudden these ratings dropped because the Basel Committee put out a corruption perception index. And so what did that mean? Every wire had stopped that was going to Russia that day. So would you say, oh, I didn't know the CPI index was out, I didn't know this happened, you know what I mean? And of course, you know, they come in to sit in front of compliance, right? And so I had to go on, you know, and deal with our US bank. And they said absolutely no, we're not signing up. And so then I had to find another bank, a Swiss bank that we don't normally use, and call them up and say, listen, I just need these wires to go through until we can get it under control with the US, and advise our customers that, and these people were paying salaries and operating businesses and stuff like that. We couldn't just stop. That meant their business would stop. Okay, so that's the type of daily things that happen in compliance that you have to deal with. You think, oh, that the operations managed to deal with it, but no, it was a compliance issue. Right? So stay abreast, stay current, subscribe to all these sites so you know what's going on, and get to know a lot of people. You have to network. Okay? You seem so excited. Nobody talking to me. Come on. I can fall asleep up here. What's your Sure. Come talk back to me. Just a discussion. What y'all think so far? Doom and gloom report?
It's a lot. It's a lot.
I am telling you, it is. It is. This a life. This is what they say, change your lifestyle. Yeah. Yeah, so that's why I say, this was happening when you got the ICA after you spent your $6,000. And then everybody was shocked. Like, oh my God, no, Miss Bullet is not for me. You see all those people who come to the door? That's my ICA class. And they switch, like you have like 4 or 5 different teachers when you go to ICA, we switch it up. So that's why everybody looking for me. Yeah, but they all came through. And thank God, because I started off with 40. In the end, I think it's 15 of them left.
What?
And one person was in there saying, Miss Bullet, what you do to me? What you do to me? But listen, there's this perception that we can't do this, that Bahamians aren't smart, that we are not qualified. Listen to me. We are qualified. We can do this. It's a lot of work, but a lot of us have strong work ethic. We don't need somebody to come in from some cold country and come and do this for us. We can do it. It's been done before, and it'll be done again. Okay? Very, very smart. Very intelligent, and know how to operate. You know, a lot of people book smart and they can't operate at work. No, we book smart and we can operate at work. Okay, we just have to stick at it. We have to encourage each other, get in good groups, get in a good network, and support each other. Okay? Other good groups to join, if you want to put your name out there, is Rotary, Toastmasters, Rotaract, and Kiwanis. You go there, that's where you meet all the professionals. They are the people that you need to hang with in the evenings and get to know. When your bank has we used to have reward and recognition, and you know, we always busy and we never have time for that. No, you go there and you talk to the execs. When it's time to get promotion, oh, I know the bullet name, I know from somewhere. Sadly, you have to know somebody. Sadly. But it's not only a Bahamian thing. In Canada, when I was at Royal Bank, all of the, we had a employee opinion survey, and all of the line staff felt like there was no way to get to the top if you weren't invited. So they had the whole recruitment process and everything, but you had to be invited. And so they pushed and they pushed and they pushed, and they did something like speed dating, where each executive person had to take a line staff under their wing and mentor them, take them to lunch, invite them to all their parties and little corporate events. And then they saw a turnaround of a position is available. Now I can apply for it, and when I go there, I've seen this person before. I've seen the VP of HR. Because in those towers in Canada, they have like 20 floors. You don't go past the fifth, No, but all of it makes a difference. So that's why I'm saying, put yourself out there, so people will know your name and know who you are, right? And they ain't really doing you a favor, because when you produce your resume,
It speaks for itself.
it speaks for itself. So I ain't had to do. It's just that I met
It's like
Miss
a
Bullard at
business
the
model.
Toastmasters meeting, and excellent that she's qualified. I prefer to go with somebody I know. I choose her. That's how it works. You have 500 resumes sometimes, right? And you at least have to send back a reply letter. So you look through all 5 and, I know this name, I know this name, I know this name. It's the human nature. Okay, so if you want to succeed and move up the ladder, network. Okay? Good. So you're going to subscribe to all those things.
Yes.
On Monday morning. Right, and it come right to your work email. Another thing with the newspapers is Facebook. All of us on Facebook, right? All of us, most of us on Facebook or some social media. Subscribe right to CNN. To if you work with countries, whatever country, and it'll come right across your feed, and that makes it easier to keep abreast. Okay, the last one of our customers that went to jail out of Switzerland came across my Facebook feed. I said, where do I play that? I know this name. I couldn't figure out where I would know this person from. I thought it was from Royal. But I do right there, and poof, the name pop up. Person arrested in Switzerland for money laundering. In 2 weeks, he had sent a letter requesting that all his accounts be closed. And transferred to the person account who he was arrested with. Because apparently he did a plea deal or whatever, that person was going to get let go and he was going to take the rap. So what was going to happen had I not caught that name? He would have gotten all that money that the FIU froze 2 months later, and then we would have been under more scrutiny. I mean, of course, they sent for information, but at least we still had it and we still had the money, But it could have gone differently because we could have been implicated, because, they would have been looking at our records. Did you do proper due diligence? Did you do everything that you're supposed to do? Should you be going to jail because you let this person bypass your system?
So he thought no one would have found out
Well,
on this end where his accounts were.
Right. So think about it now. I'm a law-abiding citizen today. I could go rob the bank, right? Right now, I could rob the gas station. I could do a drug deal right after this class, right? So you have to do continuous. Hopefully, you all work in institutions that have that vetting system that feeds on it every night, and so you all know. Did Miss Bullet rob the bank last night? That my name will show up on Monday.
When you come to jail.
You see, so we have to be proactive, because we have to keep up to date with all these scammers and hackers and whatever, because they already know they don't have that data type. They're just waiting for the day that the police catch them. The next day they're in the bank. Think about it. All the drug dealers or whatever, you go into jail, or once you get picked up, you send in somebody to go withdraw that money, right? Because you'll never get that money back from the government. Once they freeze that, you don't get that back. Right? So you have to think one step ahead of the criminal, and you got to be vigilant, okay? And fast. So all that stuff should help you. You can't eliminate risks on crime, so don't hurt your head over it, but you have to mitigate it. You have to reduce it, you have to put controls in place, you have to control it. When audit comes, that's how you stop from going to jail, right? Because these people, a lot of things has happened, and especially when you're dealing with other countries, you don't know who these people are. You have to have a good vetting process in place. They do all sorts of things. You there showing up to work every day doing what you're supposed to do, but the bank don't enforce this control and they don't enforce that. And so that's the next thing. When you become the compliance officer, you do your own audit of the entire bank, department by department, and you see where the weaknesses are because you will be liable. Compliance should advise us that we should have asked for the passport. There's no policy in place. Everybody will pass the buck, right?
Yeah.
There's no policy in place. Oh, that policy, and this is a common thing, that policy say 2002. That ain't been updated from, how much years that is? 17 years, but that's what we operating with every day, right? And compliance allowing it.
Outdated information.
The laws got changed 10 times, but this is our policy. And then half of us ain't even read it, don't even know if what it say makes sense. If somebody cut and paste it from somewhere and make it a policy, but we never read it. But now we in the department, we taking it over. You know, so when you go in these departments and take it over, for the first 2 or 3 months, you have to set up a vetting process for each department to find out the risks or any loopholes, anything that needs immediate attention. And once you have it documented and enforcing that to be done in a timeline, then you'll be okay. But if audit comes in, you done been there a year, you can't say, oh, I know, or I didn't know, or you're ineffective now. You probably going home, if not to jail. Okay, so be careful. Be all excited. We get approved by the central bank and what have you. And now, because a lot of that has happened, where there's I don't know, and negligence and what have you, central bank has now started a list of compliance officers who didn't know who was negligent and what have you. So that's
records.
yeah. So that means when
Yeah,
this
well,
bullet
yeah,
names come
it's-
across the just
Again.
done the 6th bank you've been to, no, you can't be the
Decline.
compliance no more. So you done come to all these classes. You start from the bottom down. You're there, right? And now $6,000 later, you had the job for 1 year and poof.
So Ms. Bullitt, can, the incident you just said, where my name came up and there's 6 different banks I've been to and I don't know, can Central Bank then revoke my license?
It's not a license.
I mean,
yet, you know,
revoke-
yeah, they put you on a blacklist.
And you can't?
So you decline.
You cannot work in a regulated function. And normally the
Oh,
CEO,
okay.
the CEO, the board, and the MLRO, and probably the COO are regulated functions that have to be approved.
Okay.
So you just can't, you could be line staff. You can't be in charge nowhere else.
Okay.
Yeah, and of course we here, because we need to have the top position. That's why we're here to learn to move on the way up the ladder, right? Yeah. Because the only way we can make a difference in this country or any institution is if we in charge.
Hmm.
There's a lot of things going on that really shouldn't happen.
Yeah.
A lot of untrained people and
Manipulation.
yeah, and corruption going on. So we are here to make sure that we make a difference. Right? Hopefully. Okay, good. That reason, do just the beginning.
Number 3, seek resources outside of your immediate environment. Do not concentrate just on the local legislation and the relevant regulatory guidelines or directives. Those are obviously important, but they are not enough. It is equally, if not more important, to broaden your horizons. The European AML directives apply across all of Europe, so you will find that there is more guidance out there that will help you understand your duties and how to be more effective. There is also useful guidance from U.S. regulators, the Hong Kong Monetary Authority, Australia, New Zealand, and more. Just use Google search. A number of professional bodies also offer free subscription newsletter on Know Your Customer and AML, as well as general compliance and ethic matters.
And where our law starts, and a lot of times, as compliance, like something new that just came out with CRS. Everybody familiar with CRS? Common Reporting Standard.
I've heard the term.
CRS.
Yeah. So CRS means that FACA meant that you have to report every U.S. citizen that has an account to the U.S. for tax purposes. CRS means everybody else in the world that would have signed a treaty. I think we have to 70-something countries that signed on, right? And so CRS was new. It came out in 2017. We didn't know what to do. We don't have taxes. Very unfamiliar. They had 2 trainings. right? And so, as a compliance officer now, you're responsible to go and talk. I had to talk to the IRS. And then we have a situation out of Italy. And each person has like an inland revenue. Call a competent authority. I had to call a competent authority in Italy. They didn't even speak English. I had to wait till an English person would call me back in 5 days. So these are the type of things that if you work in the offshore world, you have to deal with. I couldn't say this is new. This is new for the world. And then they was like, Ms. Bullock, when will the training be available for the staff? I said, but I don't even know what to do yet. The Bahamas had 2 trainings, you know what I mean? And so sometimes you will have to request international training, or you have to do research and extensively. And I had to go through the IRS. I had to learn a lot of stuff and put it into policy. And then I had to say, okay, this got to expire in 6 months because some of this might be wrong. So that's what has happened. So I say all of that to say that the Bahamas, just so you could have a headway, every time we put a law into place, we was either copy Luxembourg or Cayman. If something happened, Cayman is very good. They put the law out right there. We just take about 2 years, right? So for you to leverage off some information, knowing if they start to talk about it, you know it coming, but you work to a professional institution, a private firm, they want that right away because they have clients. Right away, you just go to Cayman's Monetary Authority or Luxembourg's Monetary Authority. Even New Zealand, that's where a lot of our laws and stuff come from, just so you know where to get information. Because when you start to do research, you end up like this, right? So you need to know where to go. And that's why I say you need to network with people to give you ideas, because you will be there all day trying to decipher through 91, 100 pages of legislation to see which you should put in place. Always have a legal friend as well who will help you out on the side, because my legal bill when I was at Royal used to be $20,000 and $20,000 a quarter, and so if you have a little legal friend, if
So let's stop now.
okay, there you go. That's somebody's salary, right? More than a couple, right? But that's what you had to. You just didn't know, and so I thank God Royal Bank allowed that. The next institution I was to, I was in the office with legal, and they tried to move me, and I had a fit. I said, don't move me to the next location. I need this woman all day long, and I could just spit information, and she replies right away. I say, if I move, she'll be telling me she'll get back to me in 3 or 4 days, and y'all will be having a bill for how many, whatever, thousands of dollars. So we even negotiated for her salary to be raised because I needed her, so have that legal, it's good to have a legal background when you work in compliance, but some of us don't, and so therefore have that friend who will answer you right away, or at least respond by the end of the day, because you will need them. Meet them at one of these networking functions, and you'll find that everybody shares information, and they'll help you and avoid your company all that extra money, especially if they don't even support it. No, you better find out yourself. You better call in a favor, or something. It depends on the way you work.
The MLCO rule requires a lot of critical thinking and analysis, and accordingly, I would advise you set up your own library of guidance notes, training materials, presentations, articles, and case studies. Organize these into folders and refer to them when you are uncertain about a situation or when you feel like confirming something before you make a business decision or provide advice.
And keep everything and organize it. And these are for under CRS. This is for terrorism. You will need it again. You will have to come up with a training. You will, just like the regulators say, keep everything for 5 years. Keep it for 5 years, and have it accessible to you, because you will need it if you go in this compliance route. Trust me.
Also, there are some useful and current books on AML and CTF, as well as general compliance management. They can be helpful both as a tool to get you started, but also as a reference from time to time. 4. Memberships and professional organizations. Nowadays, one can find quite a few professional membership organizations for AML compliance professionals. One of the best ones to subscribe to is the Association of Certified Anti-Money Laundering Specialists. Becoming a member of one or more of these organizations opens the door to abundant resources and practical tools to help you perform your duties and excel in what you do. Some of these organizations also offer training opportunities, seminars, and conferences you can attend to become and stay current with what is happening in the AML world. Specifically, ACAMS offers the CAMS certification.
Go to the ATMs.
But we
Okay.
here we do ICA. So subscribe to International Compliance Association. Yeah, ACAMS is US based. It's more, we have Canadian banks and what have you, so it's more recognized here, ICA is.
Okay.
But ACAMS is good as well.
The gold standard in AML certifications, and also organizes a number of conferences in Europe and the rest of the world. These are especially useful to anti-financial crime professionals. 5. Network. Attending relevant conferences in your country or abroad is a great way to meet with peers. Networking is very important in today's fast-paced environment. It is vital to exchange ideas, to share resources and experiences, and to seek help. Many of the professional membership organizations described offer local chapters or forums where members can gather and organize relevant and specialized trainings, exchange ideas on the way they do things, and even have fun together. Also, social media is very important. Use LinkedIn or even Facebook and Twitter to follow professional bodies and professional membership organizations that share important news as they happen. You can then share what you have learned with your colleagues. Your colleagues will appreciate the valuable and relevant information you provide. Contrary to popular belief, MLCOs can be an exciting, popular, and innovative person and a valuable asset to his or her colleagues and their organization. Remember to be open and welcoming and embrace the challenges and prospects of your position and be prepared to make a difference.
Okay. Very good. And so what we have to do as MLROs is strike a balance. Again, remember, all the money is made by sales. And it's the salespersons that will.
Erica.
That's it.
Oh, okay. You can pass that down.
All of the money is made by the sales department, right? And they will be the most neediest, always there. Can't make a decision, need to make the decision for them and document, do all the work. You have to strike a balance. You have to have strong interpersonal skills. You have to be able to negotiate, because this is how the bank makes the money or the institution makes the money, and you want to make sure that we're doing it in a compliant way. So you don't want to break any rules or compromise yourself, but just remember to strike a balance between making the money and remaining compliant. Because if you make no money, the bank is going good. If you don't be compliant, the bank is going good. Strike a balance, right? And the whole thing is enforce training, mandate these people to do certain things. All of this would make it easier. You have to come to training in your mandate. You must follow procedure. If you're a manager, you must be on board with providing information, correct information, timely information. And so when an AML training is absolutely necessary, but if these people aren't mandated to do it, you won't get them to do it. Or they'll say, oh, you have to pay me more money because that was not my mandate, right? Also, policies and procedures and keeping them up to date. If you don't have that, if there's a bonus plan and you don't have that centered on their mandate to say you are responsible to update this policy, because I'm compliant. I can't write a finance policy. I could vet it. I could look at some laws. I could cross-section and say, well, the law said this and you didn't put it in or something like that. But to say write it from scratch, no. And a lot of us don't have parent banks. Because when I was at Royal Bank, everything came down from Canada. But we even found that to be a problem because everything just had Canadian law. And we got into some trouble here when we started saying, but our policy says we must do this or that. So we even had to get together as a team and localize all our policies in Royal Bank. So we put all the Bahamian law in it. Okay, and so we couldn't ask the Canadians to do it, we had to do it ourselves. Okay, so make sure that the IT, the finance, all these managers are mandated or and on board, because not only is it policy and procedure, that some are high risk and have to be updated every year. Not changed, but vetted to say that no law has changed or what have you. Is a risk assessment now that is required by each institution, and that stems from recommendation 1 that says countries should identify their risks and put controls in place. And so now central bank is enforcing. We put it in IFTRA, Section 5, the risk assessment is mandatory, and so right now institutions are running around because the AML risk assessment is done by is due by June 22nd. And remember, all the laws have been updated now, so there's a penalty, there's a fine. I don't know, like $100,000, $500,000, but they ain't playing,
The deadline.
right? And so imagine now this year, everybody busy, everybody overwhelmed, and this June 22nd is in 22 days, eh? Okay, and I think I went to that seminar in March. And when we went to the seminar in March, you know, the regulator told us, we said, can we have a template or a sample or something like that? They said, no, every institution is different.
Wow.
You
So
know,
you have to start from scratch.
We have to start from scratch. And then the BARCO president came up and said, okay, they did this in Australia, and go on this website and copy the one from Australia and you should be okay. So the central bank guy came up and said, oh, you can do that, but I want you to know that Australia's financial institutions will charge $1.9 billion for this and for that, and with it, all kinds of, you know, just put fair on us, right? So stuff like that, and that's only the AML one that relates to, you know, anti-money laundering, how you protecting your company from money laundering. The enterprise-wide one is due in October. That means each department has to detail every process and say, this is my control in place. We offer trust accounts. We have a certified trust officer that has step qualification to, you know, to operate these accounts. We have them labeled as high risk. We only let the board approve them. They are the controls. Same thing with PEPs. We all know what PEPs are. So
That's why.
again, what are our controls? We only let the board approve them. We label them as high risk. We do a background search on them if they're from a different country. We monitor them annually, you know, so you have to actually document what controls you have in place, and then they're gonna come and check it. So the first one, AML, is done by June 22nd. The whole company is done by October. And so every compliance, now they changing it from compliance based to risk based. So a lot of companies don't have risk officers. So guess who gets to do all of it? Compliance officer. But listen, I don't want to give you all the doom and gloom report, right? I just want everybody like Miss Bullet. No, I listen. It's very comprehensive. It is a lot of work. But if you have you're organized, good record keeping, have your network around you, you can succeed. You just have to be organized and have the right controls in place and sufficient experience. That's why it's good that you all start here, and then it's also good that you start. If you could be the manager of credit, but you want to be in compliance, go be that compliance assistant. That's how you learn. I mean, you know what I mean? They may give you a higher level or a higher pay, but you can't just walk in compliance and be the MLR. It don't work like that because it's very confidential. Even if you get some training, like, you know, you do cross training, you could just get the basics and the stuff that you only get the nitty gritty which you need to know. You know, so if you truly want to be successful, start at the bottom and move your way up, and you get your ears there. And that's how you learn. But it's worth it. If you like to read, and if it's, you can make decisions, you'll be fine. Can't make decisions, don't like to read. I need an operation manual that say press 1, press enter and go to 3, then it ain't for you. But this is still a good designation to have. Like I say, we can do this. We doing it now. Okay? So now you'll see why the compliance people just walk around like they permit proper and like they, you know?
Listen. Listen, please.
Yeah, police, yeah. But striking a balance, having good networking and good interpersonal skills. Because we have to change the perception that this the police come and run, all this police come and run, you know? Only give a generic answers, don't say nothing, you know, it shouldn't be like that, no. Okay? Okay, good. Alright, so let's go into the book. Any questions? You already covered everybody, just looking starry eyed. Any questions?
Recently I opened up a bank account and it was kind of new to me. On the box is a long application form all of a sudden, and then there was this book. It was this spot which said, politically involved. Or
Yeah, that's what we talked about, tax.
so now, due to the fact that the legislature is about that compliance officers must be present in banks now, that came about just because of the fact.
No. Compliance had to be in banks. From 2000 is the law firms, real estate, and accountants who didn't have to have it. Some had it because they knew it was coming, because they, you know,
So
but it's
they put extra scrutiny now because due to the fact of the political leader who just get, because I never see that slot
PEP.
there.
You never see PEP?
No.
It should have.
Commonwealth Bank that in bold now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, and a PEP is
Banks have it.
not only the politician, it's their mother
Person.
and
Yeah,
close
that's why I
friend
said
and
it in
family.
bold now. I never saw
Yeah.
it there.
They probably, you know, like I
know
say,
they
just
do.
like how the laws, where we put the shell and we didn't put all the meat, Commonwealth Bank probably had some updating to do. Because all of the banks, see the thing about it, we want to remain competitive and we want to be still inviting to the customers, still nice, and so we only put what we have to put. And so what happened is Commonwealth Bank probably put some, I can't say, they probably put some stuff in place, and then they had an audit where the audit said, no, you have to put this on your account opening form and ask everybody. You know, they probably say, man, this the Bahamas, we can know if that's a pet or not.
Yeah.
But they really know if that's Shane Gibson's sister or auntie or what have
You
you.
have to ask the question.
Right. And then that means we say in our policy, we are going to put that person as high risk. You might have been low risk, like Brave Davis' daughter got married. How we know that? What do we do? That person, before he married her, was just the average Joe. I mean, I would think he could have been low risk, right?
These are
Now,
all considered high risk.
Monday morning, he's a PEP and he's high risk. And so if you weren't keeping abreast of the newspaper and seeing these things going on, hopefully you know you well-rounded, you know enough people, you know. But you at the point you say, wait, let's just put this person in our system to see if he in our system. We need the regulators account. Or at review time, which would be 3 years, and hopefully, you know, you could use that to audit, oh, he is low risk now, and at review, we would have called him up and said, hey, how you doing, any significant changes? Hopefully he would have said, no, yes, I got married, you know, who did you get married to, whatever, no Pepsi, or what have you. Or if you did do the review, you have to document on that review that I spoke to him and he said there were no significant changes. That's what covers you.
Correct.
You can't tell the auditor, I did not know. You see?
Do persons who work, like in Parliament, like the maid and the cooks and all that,
You see, PEPs in our country is just political persons and what have you, and for our family members. In Mexico, it's all civil servants. In Russia, it's all civil servants. So
okay.
PEP has a different meaning in different countries, and that's one of the questions that they asked ICA last year. Describe a PEP, give an explanation and definition of it. And of course, people go and write the central bank guideline and copy and paste that. They wanted to know if you knew the difference or the meaning in the different countries and how it's expansive, and if you could do the Bahamas versus Mexico, the Bahamas versus UK. That's what they was looking for.
Okay, so
Yeah.
only immediate family.
It depends on the country.
Okay.
Yeah, because like I say, in Russia
Military.
and most communist countries, so I imagine China, a PEP is a civil servant, you work for the government. They must know what you do, you know what I mean? Yeah, so it depends.
Okay, I'm not familiar with, well, I have now an understanding of what a PAP is, but you're saying if someone married Great Davis's daughter, why would that be considered important?
He's the opposition leader.
Understood, but I mean for his
He would not, because
son-in-law.
it's close,
Yes.
he now, that's a close family
Exposure to
member.
information
Close
and stuff,
associate
right?
or close family, he has influence.
He has influence.
Okay, let's think about Donald Trump, Ivanka Trump, Ivanka's husband. You see how many he have as much charges against him as Donald Trump, eh? Yeah. So that's why we have to know, because if we keep seeing the son-in-law come across the TV,
Right.
we need to start watching that account. We definitely need to have it categorized properly. What's happening here? Because Brave or Donald could think, hey, nobody know him, they gonna track me, but they ain't gonna track him. No, we tracking him too. Like that.
I saw instances where they had like the gardener, they come in to open an account with a pair, like to try and like push it under the rug. But you still gonna be investigated. You're still considered a pair, high risk.
Yeah, and that's why we gotta be
Why
vigilant and
you
we gotta
opening
pay.
an account with your gardener? How you gonna get friends?
Hello. Okay. So we have to watch out for all these things, and hopefully we have the proper systems in place that'll help us with all this. Yes, the key is organization, and we can get it done, and we'll be good. Okay? Any questions? No? We good so far? A lot of information. Clear as mud? Y'all gonna retain some of this, or you walk on this class and say, forget about that. No man,
And
you can do.
experiment.
Yeah, there you go. You know, get everything, take everything from me, get your money's worth. This y'all, you could have gone to Miami, sweet. This Memorial Day weekend, we could have been in Sawgrass. But you're here, get your Sawgrass worked. And no $25 to buy myself like extra bag and all way, none. Get it on. There you go. Okay, so let's go into the chapter. Thank you very much for reading. You almost there to your 15 points. Almost there. You're almost there. If you come and tell me you've been to Toastmasters and a seminar or Rotary or one of them, you'll get 5 more points.
Okay.
Y'all look smart, y'all ain't need
What
no
if some of
points.
us are already Toastmasters are in Rotary?
Well, if you
Do I
invite-
just automatically get it?
You see how much people in this class, you invite the whole class, you get your points.
15
You get your whole 15 points, you get the whole class to go.
for the
And that's why they send me a picture of Miss Bullet. All I say have 5 points. You need 70%.
Random
Cancel
meeting.
class on Thursday.
Random meeting.
Because we have Thursday Toastmasters.
You need 70% to pass the entire class. Okay, and let's look at it. Let's see how it's broken into. 15%. Final exam, 85%. So you need 70% overall between participation and exam. So you can do it, don't worry about it. Just so y'all know, so that extra 5 points, y'all get to know this lady, y'all network, everybody exchange numbers, and y'all help each other. Right, and encourage, then take the photo and send it. And there you go, but even if you don't get to take a photo, you come back and share what you learned. And we had some very, very good stories. Not only that, I encourage everybody to, the Chinese live off, we hate the Chinese and we hate immigrants and stuff like that, but we can learn from them. The Chinese lives off 20% and they save 80%, right? We spend 200%. And so, therefore, in your groups, everybody have like 3 or 4 friends and they hang out with every weekend, right? Let's go to the club, let's have some drinks, let's party. One of those weekends, invest. Just one. Say, let's get together and put some money together and try and save. Or let's open up a business, some initiative or whatever. See, we rowing, but we don't work together. And you know, we have our favorite black rock syndrome.
Yes, my
Right?
Lord.
Everywhere in the world, there's a little China, African community, a Jewish community, or whatever, Haitian community. And you ever been anywhere to
They
the
stick
Bahamas?
together.
Anywhere? You ever been to the Bahamas? Anywhere
No.
in the world? There's not. Why?
So we don't stick together.
Okay. Let's change that. We don't stick together and we broke. And we don't think we can get top position and we can. Right? But foreigners come and they do so well. The Chinese, you know, they be customs and all these places. They one container of bread, every shop get bread. That's one payment to customs, right? Less duty, whatever. And that's how you make it in this world. And you'll see every Chinese, you'll see any Chinese on the side of the road begging,
No, none.
hustling.
Just see the shops popping up.
Oh, all around.
And they buying the whole complex.
Okay.
Upstairs and downstairs.
Okay, why we can't do it? Just we don't want network. We can't help nobody. No man is an island. United, we stand. Divided, we fall, and we are very divided. Right? So those same friends that you're going out to drink with tonight, tell them next week. Let's call C5. Let's see where we can put our money together. Let's invest. Out of 4 paychecks, if you get paid every week, live off 30% one week. You don't die if you want to pay your hands and make up one week. If you carpool, if you pack a lunch, right? Walk, you can do it.
Yeah, sometimes I sketch.
Okay, so let's and then we just gonna talk. I can just tell you all this whole story. Do not. We gonna talk it, right? We gonna talk it, right? So therefore, before the end of this class, before you take your final please, invite everybody. So you in Toastmasters?
Which one?
Yeah.
I am in Design for Success.
And this is about they on 1600 or more past 16. So that's how many
No,
courses?
1600 is just for the men.
Men. Yeah, but I mean the number represents the number of Toastmasters. So,
No.
no? Okay.
No.
But
That's
there
just
are
the
many.
number of the class.
There are many. You could just go to visitors or any other one just to see how it is, just for the experience, so you don't be by yourself.
What's the name?
Toastmasters.
No, I mean
The
that's
class
your
is
club.
Design for Success.
That's the-
3956.
Yeah. So get our number, get some information, and your network. Okay. Meet some people, and let's make a difference in our country. Okay, because the only way to make a difference right now is that we have to be in charge. We can't depend on the politicians in this one. We now have to train up ourselves and we become the future leaders. Okay? Alright, Miss Bullet, we just want to get through this and pass. Come meet me this grade. We'll send me up. I'm really interested. Right? No? We here to make a difference. We invested in ourselves. Okay, great. Very good. Very, very good. Okay, so we know what money laundering is?
Wow.
Good. So you will read, you start reading on page 5? Sure. Yeah, everybody, you need this 15 points, right? Okay. Practice, use us.
There you go.
Feel comfortable. It's very public speaking. It's easy. So you practice on us. We here to help you. You don't know all the words. We can sound them out, whatever, and just get comfortable. We here to learn. Right? Okay, good.
What is money laundering? Money laundering is not a new terminology, but has been used for many years. Money laundering is defined as the practice of disguising the origins of illegally obtained money through a process which the proceeds of crime are made to look legitimate. As we live in a global environment, the opportunities for money laundering are unlimited. In this regard, there are recognized global efforts to prevent money laundering through international initiatives. Jurisdictions like the Bahamas are encouraged to meet these international standards through implementation of a national AML framework. Money laundering always involves funds or value derived from the proceeds of crime. Therefore, money laundering involves not just cash, but property that directly or indirectly represents proceeds of crime.
Okay, and these diagrams, these online, you could go online and Google the whole story behind all of them. You know, in your, remember, you read before, you become have a discussion and then Yeah, that's your book, yeah. Take it off. So whatever you don't understand, you can ask. Okay?
Placement is where cash is derived from criminal activity and is infused into the financial system. Layering usually involves a complex system of transactions designed to hide the source and ownership of the funds. Integration. Integration is the stage at which laundered funds are reintroduced into the legitimate economy, appearing to have originated from a legitimate source.
Okay, so let's think about what does that mean? Because remember now, the cost is anti-money laundering. Let me see what they name it. If we check it, the GRC now, and compliance systems. Okay, so of course, our question could be on anti-money laundering, right? And each question is like essay form, and it's worth 10 points, right? So you need at least 10 to 12 points to get full points, right? So this is very short, and they're not gonna ask you, what is money laundering by? They ask you, explain money laundering in the placement stage, right? And so, how would we answer that question?
I first need to
You could go.
try. I
10
first-
points now, 10
10
points.
points.
There's an essay. There's an
That's
essay.
many words. Lord. I first need to have an account. So I would need to approach an institution in order to open up that account. Once that account is open and there isn't any red flags, I'm able to actually put monies into the account under the radar where it's not over what my MPA is.
No, we don't know
No?
no MPA. What that mean? MPA. Nobody know no MPA is.
Money potential activity.
Okay, good.
Once
Everybody knew that?
No.
Okay, so you can't go there because you walking us. You remember 10 points. We want write an essay.
Oh, this essay.
Yeah, we want write an essay. But see, you can't put MPA because everybody don't know what that is.
And she can put MP on her thing and you can be like, what's that?
What the heck? No, I stop right there. I don't know
But
what
by the time
MPA
it's
is.
reached the essay time, you would have already learned that, eh?
Where we can learn MPA? Not even in this book.
Right?
That's it, young boy, quick,
Okay.
quick.
Yeah.
That's where you work, right?
Right,
That's
yeah.
why I tell you, across institutions, it's
It's
different.
different, yeah.
Okay? But you're on the right track. You're definitely on the right track. So like you said, you open up an account, right? And there is a profile that is created. And from this profile that is created, you then stated, ask you specific questions. Are you a PAP? How much money are you gonna deposit every month? What's the value of the money that you're gonna deposit every month? And where you get that
Where
money
it
from?
coming
Now we know what you're talking about. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so continue.
So, once they, I don't know what.
Establish the profile.
Yeah, establish the
So see, that's
profile.
why we doing this, so y'all can write it. This is,
Right.
you know it in your head, but it's hard to explain it.
Yeah.
And then you can't use terms that everybody ain't familiar with, especially when you're writing for ICA.
Okay.
And so we can practice from here.
Okay. Once you get those funds into the bank, of course, you always have more than what you deposit, but you have to deposit a certain amount so you could stay under that radar.
Of your profile that you've established.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Once the money would have come into an account, there, I would call that, like cleaning.
Yeah, but why are you cleaning or washing? You want
This
something,
is,
what's wrong with this
this
money?
is dirty money.
But you won't tell us how the money get dirty. Would you say that tell us it's dirty?
It could be from money
No,
laundering.
not it could be.
Doesn't
It's creating the scenario, and that's the easiest way to explain. Create a scenario and explain, so you properly explain it. Because you will never tell us the money was dirty. You say go into the bank, open up a bank, and establish a profile.
Correct.
How you jump to dirty money?
Well, of course, they're trying to hide something.
Why?
Drugs.
No, so a drug
Human
dealer.
trafficking.
Okay.
Those type of stuff.
Let me give you an example. And then you can put it in. So, I used to be the manager of Finco Robinson Road in Key West Street, right? And my peanut guy used to come. There's bullets from the door. You want peanut today? I said, yeah. Leave my peanuts right on it from the door. Miss Bullet, I need to open up one of them accounts. I say, okay. I say, how much you go open an account? Miss Bullet, I just make like $10 a day. I say, okay, man, that's good money, good money. Yeah, I want you to save that. So he come in, he open up the account. I say, but you only bring the whole $10. He say, no, I might bring 5. I said, okay, so let's calculate that. And you go bring this every day. Yes, Miss Bullet, I will come see you every day. I can bring this $5. So multiply that by the 20 business days, right? And so he shouldn't deposit more than $100 for the month, right? So man, he coming in every day. He depositing his $5 in his account. I say, man, looking good. You almost get $50 today. I'm proud of you. You know, big accomplishment, big smile, right? And then one day, I didn't see him for a while and what have you. And he said, man, yeah, I get a job, man. Yeah, I could deposit more money. I'm so glad you get me onto this saving thing. I say, good. So why you bring me $5,000?
But you just got a job.
Well, then the job
That's
just
awesome.
pay you from $5 a day to $5,000. What you doing?
You selling peanuts, right?
What kind of peanuts?
Them drug peanuts.
Say my phone.
If he did it,
When he still have his profile.
and get proof, that's fine. It could have been legitimate. Like when numbers wasn't legal.
Legalized.
Oh, Miss Bullet, I win one number, girl. Let me buy you something from the door. Key West Street, Romsey Road. Okay? Miss Bullet, I win one number, girl. Let me buy you something. I say, shh. You
Yeah.
I can't take that money. If I deposit that, you know, and what I doing now? Tipping off. Because this new. I said, no, you can't win a number. I don't bring it to my no. You just go here and don't ever come. Don't ever come back here because you're too loud talking from the door, telling everybody your business. Right? So this is the scenario that you're gonna create.
When you
Numbers
answer
are
the question.
illegal in the Bahamas. Gambling is illegal locally in the Bahamas. Worse.
Now it's legalized.
It's
Yeah.
regulated.
That's
Yeah,
much
it's
control.
regulated.
Oh,
So now
I-
you can take the money, but
I
now they don't
witnessed-
take it now because they used to take it before.
I'm saying
They
yeah.
still
They
take
didn't
it.
have this legalized. Only Bank of the Bahamas is
Only
taking
Bank of the
money.
Bahamas.
Yeah.
They
So
tell me
it's
what
craziness.
15 grand. Oh
Yeah.
my
But
goodness.
see, I want you answer the questions because a lot of times that fluffy.
Okay, so
If you
you
want
gotta
10 points,
actually give them, you gotta paint a picture.
You paint the whole picture.
I think the question on the question asked,
Asked.
she was about to go into layering,
Yeah.
talking about cleaning the money, that's
Right.
layering.
Yeah, but she have to start with the scenario. Okay, so we walk into the bank, we open an account, we establish a profile.
From this peanut money or from
You,
my
any
account?
scenario, I just give them scenarios so you could say, you know, where I said that I will deposit $50.
Okay, where was I?
You establish your profile, you know, you're bringing us
Depositing.
$50 a month.
Depositing the money. I guess they'll do that for a certain length of time, just so you wouldn't see any red flags.
Right. So where you get your money from? Why now we even have a problem? Because it's normal to open
Because
an account.
then the deposits have changed
Mhm.
or are becoming more frequent, as opposed to once a week, you coming in like 2-3 times a week, 'cause you know one saying nothing to you, so you're saying, okay, let's deposit this money, let's see if we can, you know, slip
Through the
the
system.
through
Yeah.
the system.
But where you get this money from?
Drugs,
Drugs. Okay.
selling drugs.
Okay.
But so I'm like like a fisherman. I know fishermen, they make a lot of money during a certain
Time.
period of time.
Mhm.
So could that be used as an example? Because
Yeah,
sometimes
yeah.
fishermen, they
Mhm.
deposit like and cash checks like a lot of money
Mhm,
at a
mhm.
certain time. Okay, so you wouldn't expect
Suspect,
anything.
Because it's within their profile.
Okay, so just trying to explain this.
So today I made for the 2 years my account was open. I deposited the $50. Now today I bring 5,000, and I say, man, Miss Bullet, you know that peanut money just wasn't enough. I do one little drug deal, and here's this $5,000. Put this on my account. Because these boys now, we can talk like this. We cool. That's what they think.
Yeah.
They
Yeah,
should
that's
be.
true. They didn't
You know?
create this
They don't know
relationship.
the seriousness of it, right?
Yeah,
That's the problem, they
there
don't
you go.
understand.
There you go.
Okay, after doing all of that,
So Miss
does-
Bullet now take
so-
the money.
so do a red flag come up in my head to ask or to go to my compliance officer and say, I feel really suspicious about this customer depositing this amount of money? I'm asking.
Right. Yeah. So you, in the background, compliance should have a tracking system, and they should get a prompt that said, this guy's deposited this money. This is unusual, right? Then they go and check the file and they say, yeah, he said $50. And then you go back and ask the question. You know, they'll block the funds and they say, ask him where this money came from. He could say, my grandfather died. Here's a copy of the will. Or I inherited from this person or whatever. I sold my car. Or it's ASU, right? And you bring that. You bring that. But if you say, Mom, Miss Bullet, the drug deal I do, I made that quick. I could be bringing that from now on.
Who said that though?
So Miss Bullet, I don't like the AC
Think he
one.
buy you
Yeah,
lunch,
the-
he could think he cool.
Right.
The
And then he thought he was this happened for real.
Is the ASU one legitimate though? Cause
Yeah,
If you're
it's
able-
always-
if
you
you
provide
provide
a
a
contract.
contract.
You have to bring the contract.
I still like it because I
I
can
don't
I can
but
afford
they-
it.
I
But
told them
But
I
they
was
know,
going
they-
to,
That's
and they
true,
told me
but-
bring a contract and that was it.
Then
I bought the
yeah,
contract.
so it was fine.
But it's for the compliance department to investigate.
Right, I was just
That's
gonna say
right,
that.
yeah, so they will do a little background check on it.
It ain't for us to say that you can't bring this money if you have proof.
But see,
as to
every
where it came
every department or every institution have different policies.
from. Correct.
Right? With filing a STI, everybody knows what an STI is, suspicious transaction report. The law says anybody can file one, just like anybody can go to jail.
Yeah.
But institutions, they normally have a process in place. Like once you have an incident and you pass it on to, this is how Royal Bank goes. You have an incident, you pass it to your manager, it's no longer your incident.
Correct.
You know, don't even get involved, because they don't want you to tip off, and the more information you get, like I said, man, we can't take this money. You know what I mean? But they want free, so that they will take the money, and that boy isn't ready to jump over the counter and punch you out. You see what I mean? So you have to be very careful. So most institutions said you send it to your manager, the manager then goes to the MLRO, or you go to the MLRO and you leave it and they decide. That's the decision for the MLRO. I had one case where one person said, you know, you have to fill out a form and you have to give as much information as possible. One person did not want to disclose. And so nowadays they have updated the law to say failure to disclose, 12 years in jail or $500,000. Right? Another person going to the customer and say, yeah, I can take this withdrawal, I can withdraw this money back on your account because they say I have to freeze it. Tipping off, 12 years in jail or $500,000. Yeah. So look at your internal policy. One person, the MLRO, said, no, we tracking this case, we need to do some more information. But because the law says anybody could go to the FIU, the person went online from the to the FIU site, printed the SDI form and submitted it there. I tell them. So of course that's been said well with the company. So you have to be careful. You know, the law does say that. That company did never go right then, but eventually they did for some other reasons, and that's what happened. So if you don't support your policy, if you know your company and their policy, if you feel like your MLRO is not effective and some funny things going on, and it has happened, you know, then you need to leave. But you probably will get fired anyway if you go beyond with the policy. Your internal policy said send it to your manager, send it to your MLRO, you know. So you have to make an integrity decision, because you will work for companies where they are deficient, they are slack, and they don't do what they're supposed to do. I mean, all the evidence there, and they don't do anything about it. So you have to realize that you're in the wrong company. Okay? Yeah. But we want to make sure I answer this question. What is money laundering in the placement stage? Right? So everything that you said, we establish that profile. You come in and you outside of the profile, but it's the proceeds of crime. Because what is money laundering? You have to make sure I answer that part. And then I do a drug deal and I place it in the financial system with hopes that it's gonna be washed. Right? And now I can go pay my child school fee because the bank can't take that. I go right online, I click the BEC, I click my mortgage, I click the children's school fee, poof. I get that through. Or what we could read next is I send that to Bin Laden or one of his workers. Right? So I was able to get that through. Right? So that's how you want to make sure I answer the question because it's easy to put a whole lot of fluff and to answer the question. Okay, so read the questions and like I say, each question will be worth 10 points and that's how you answer it. People will just put money laundering as proceeds of crime. Placement is the cash is derived from criminal activity and infused into the financial system. Stop. End their story right there. How much points do you think they'll get for that?
2.
Right? Yeah, so create the scenario that answers the question and that's how you get the points. Okay? Okay, good.
Money laundering occurs whenever there is an arrangement that involves the proceeds of another person's crime, or there is an arrangement that involves a person's proceeds of crime. It is important to the criminal not to leave a trail leading back to the crime or from the criminal to the property.
Okay, and so that's why they opened this account months ago. They try put their little $50 to keep it open and not realizing that when they deposit the $5,000, it'll trigger somebody off in the back and they'll start to investigate behind the scenes. And almost, there's something called smurfing, you know, I think they allow us to deposit $15,000 in cash. So
Yeah.
I'll bring 5,000 today,
Yeah.
5,000 next
Yeah.
week, 5, you know, and then over a course of a month. So you'll see compliance in the background getting hits and having hopefully a specialized system that will alert them. Unfortunately, the smaller companies, some compliance have to do that manually, you know, and they don't have proper systems in place. And so be careful again when you go to these companies to work because if they don't, that's one of the questions that you want to ask in the interview. Do you have a specialized system automated that can track trigger transactions? Right, because imagine doing that manually and you have 500
You'll never
clients.
get to that.
You'll never get to that.
Just like
Another thing that company is trying to do is that there's two things, there's AML and then it's compliance, but they hire one person to do both. And now it's risk even involved there. So AML compliance and risk, they will try to put all three of those on you. You can't do it if you don't have an assistant or a team. So be careful of that too. And so when you go on these interviews, ask, is there a team? Is this a one-man band? What's gonna happen? Because no matter, even if they have 10 clients, all these things still have to be in place. But if you have 500 clients who doing 500 transactions a day, AML is transactional, opening an account is transactional, compliance is more dealing with the regulators, having policies, procedures and stuff in place. How you answer? Remember, my day was 9 to 12 answering questions, watching transactions, dealing with the regulators, and reading policy and procedure, making sure enterprise-wide all these risk assessments in place. It's a juggle. So, like I say, make sure that sufficient staff or something. Don't walk into a one-man band. Then you have to say, how many clients do you have? And do you expect to have more? Because we may have 500 today, or we might have 10 today, but you just hire 5 sales officers who are on the road drumming in business every day. And you have to approve all those accounts. So just weigh it out because you don't want to get in an overwhelming situation and there's no like real metric for compliance. So you have to create it yourself so there's an understanding of how much work this will be, you know. So you can do it, just document it and be organized. Okay? All right.
The underlying predicate Crimes for the purposes of the money laundering laws are any crime that can give rise to the unlawful obtaining of property.
And this is a popular question that they always ask, like, on multiple choice, because you probably got 10 or 15 multiple choice, and they probably have to write 6 or 7 essays, it depends. So what are the predicate crimes, and or they list some and say which crimes,
Examples include fraud, theft, counterfeiting, drug dealing, corruption of bribery, breach of sanctions, human trafficking, tax evasion, smuggling.
So what would be familiar with here in the Bahamas? All of these things.
Fraud.
All of them very familiar.
Fraud.
What about breach of sanctions? Anybody pay attention to sanctions? Anybody know what's going on right now? With sanctions, Venezuela is heavily sanctioned by the US. There's I call it an oil war, but they say, the president is corrupt. Venezuela has the largest oil reserve in the world. And so therefore they have a president, and he's not really doing what he's supposed to do. There's a lot of political unrest. A lot of people are fleeing from Venezuela going across the border. So Donald Trump decided to be the great person that he is, and he gave them, I don't know what he did, but he voted in their president for them.
What?
Yeah.
You can do that?
I don't know, but that's what he did. So he sent somebody there who is Cuban national, not Cuban national, Venezuelan, to run the country. And so country again a part of the UN, and so when these type of things happen, you get the support of the UN countries. But of course, China is a communist country, and China said immediately, no, Donald Trump, we don't support you. You don't decide who runs another country. You go and you do that in your own country, so no, we don't support you. Putin said, no, you don't do that. And of course, Cuba said, no, you don't do that. I don't know of anybody else. I wasn't foreign any longer. Stood up and said, no, we don't support it. But of course, they think it's more to do with the oil and control, because they say if we now support you, you come in our country and try to appoint that person. Now, if this person is elected or becomes the president, who he go? Who he go when he's sitting pretty in 1 year? Who he go and have to pay back? Pay back America, right? So yeah. So that's so they have them heavily sanctioned. So there is a lot going on that needs to be fixed, but if you allow the U.S. to fix it, there's some implications and some repercussions. So you have to pay attention and understand how it works. Okay, but of course, we just small, whatever America says. We just have to do. We don't have really a choice, because if everybody knows that our Prime Minister met with Donald Trump a few weeks ago, we would have read that in the newspaper. But he was concerned about the influence on China, because China is going to lend us this $1.2 billion to do this new port, right? But China has just acquired the port of Guatemala, because they wasn't able to pay, and 3 other countries in Africa because they weren't able to pay. So we have to be very careful. You all think we'd be able to pay?
No.
Do we pay any bill?
No.
Okay. So what
And they don't want the whole downtown.
what will happen after we borrow this 1.2 billion?
It going from 12% to what?
We will be in a deficit.
No, but see, but that's not that again, international standard. They don't want us to be more competitive than anybody else. So if you look at the Caribbean countries, everybody else is 15%. Barbados, what else goes to us? A few of the Caribbean countries, you go read it. So Turks, it's a international requirement. So don't matter who government in, it has to be done. So don't say, the F&M will do this or whatever.
No, but I'm speaking in general about paying back the debt. In order to pay back the debt, then you got to tax
Yeah.
people.
So it coming, but it ain't political. It's internationally required for it to go up to 15%, or they to do something else. So other countries, see. You have a question?
I don't have a question. It's just more so annoying because we put people in place like the F&M. The reason why we put them in place is because they didn't need our money. Most of them are financially stable.
So they would have been left. See, the thief, the whole thing. After them, the thief ain't
East when the
sorry,
pills
the
and
thief.
teeth, the ball
They
goes
get
in
they get thief eight.
It's just
Definitely,
a
that's
and
the
then pay
difference.
the
But see,
2%.
that's just it. That's why I said we have to
At
be.
least
If you want to really make a difference, we now have to become these leaders. We have to run for political office. We have to get our network together, formulate our team, and because we ain't corrupt, and we properly train and we know better.
It's a good question.
Right.
I want to know within compliance, is there anything being done as relates to regulate the cryptocurrency?
Okay, so let's talk about crypto. Everybody knows what cryptocurrency is? You'll have to, you should know.
No.
Okay, so cryptocurrency is a digital currency, right? That some techie guy created back in early 2000s. He created it because the regulation makes everything so expensive. And the regulation stops people like Bin Laden, who had billions of dollars from operating through the financial services sector. So he created it. The whole purpose of it was for it to be unregulated. Now hence it's become, it made so much money being unregulated, and we live in a digital world. Countries feel like they have third world status or are being left behind because we don't offer cryptocurrency. This is the new techie thing, right? But with cryptocurrency, it's just a number. So Bin Laden probably, I mean, if he was alive, everybody know who Bin Laden is, right? So that's why it's using me out. Him and his family, he probably owned 50-60% of it. It's just a number, right? So the CMC FATF that came, the Caribbean Financial Action Task Force, said that we are too high, we are medium high risk, right? And then we have junk status. So, and we are a borrowing nation, right? And so everybody tries to put things in place to lower their rate, their risk rating, high, medium, or low, right? We are one step from being high. It'll affect how we borrow. It would affect, nobody's gonna lend us money with junk status and that we have a high rate. Only China at a ridiculous rate, and they standing in the line waiting for us to not pay that one payment to take over our port or anything else. So what you do for your country is you try to decrease your risk rating, right? Just like in the bank, you're more scrutinized, you have to go through more vetting, more screening if you have a high risk versus a low risk, right? And so therefore, the governor of the central bank said, we are too cash intensive. We have a lot of money, especially with this gaming we legalized. So therefore, in order for us to be less cash intensive, he wants to support cryptocurrency, but it has to be regulated. So they created this committee to put in legislation. And again, some other countries like Luxembourg and France came and already legalized it or regulated it. And so we just copy what they do. So they have a working committee. So at the same meeting with the CFATF, Alive was there. And Alive is going to put in the platform for cryptocurrency. But they have to get the policies and procedures and all the regulations and then trickle it down. So they're hoping to do that. But again, this techie guy created this to be unregulated. So you can make money from it. Once they regulate it,
You can't make that.
you can't make the money, but it make it no more because it'll go through the same vetting process. The same amount of paper I need to photocopy your passport, your national insurance, and passport. The same person I gotta pay to accept it, then somebody to vet it, then to put it in the system and to watch it, and the same compliance paying $50,000-$60,000. So, yeah, they're working on to regulate it. Yeah, but it where they do it, I don't know. Okay? And another risk is a 31-year-old in Canada had, I think in this, you could Google this so you could read it's very interesting. You'll need to know what's going on because it come in, you know what I mean? And so again, this will just be like CRS. not a lot of experience, not a lot of exposure. The regulation no, and it only have the share and not the meeting. Now you have to go into your company and train them on what you don't even know how to do, right? So this guy in Canada, 31 years old, he had 70 clients with $25 billion worth of cryptocurrency. And guess what? He died.
What? 31-year-old died.
He had some Crohn's disease, some type of disease. He died. That only him one of the food. So that money, that $35 billion is in the cloud. And those 71 people have no way of accessing it.
But they never asked.
No, you don't. He operated as the exchange. So what you do is, you want to sell it or buy. You buy. He was just the buyer and seller. So only him would have the code.
Him one.
They
That
have
don't make sense though.
They arrested his wife or they brought her in for questioning and stuff like that. But she said she didn't have it. They got a search warrant to search his entire house, but.
You mean
You don't have
the
computer,
Canadian?
no laptop,
No,
no nothing.
He's a Canadian.
Canadian
Yeah.
and the money left here
Yeah.
and the Bahamas trying to take it.
Not
Not
the
Bahamas trying to
Bahamas.
take it, but
No, we talking about cryptocurrency.
So the
Oh, okay.
71,
Yeah.
the 71 persons
Mm-hmm.
knew that they were buying and selling through one person.
Mm-hmm.
They knew that.
See,
I'm
okay.
asking how it's
so
set
so
up.
this how it works.
You wouldn't know the
You would have work on Wall Street, and you known as a well diverse trader and whatever, and so you have a portfolio of clients. Just like how the bank have their portfolio, is just that I ain't going to the bank because the bank make $50 off of every transaction. This guy could make $10 off of every transaction. You know, so and he worked the Royal Bank for 20 years. He know how to work Royal Bank system.
I ask questions. I know. I just like
You-
what happened
you-
if you died? Like one person of all that
I
information.
don't think the people would have known that. They just he was a
That's what I'm
a
asking.
broker
If-
dealer who
if they
was well
knew that it
known
was
and
only
people
one
trusted
person.
him. They didn't even know he was sick. They didn't know he was sick. 31 in his prime.
So no one would be able to access that even in a case where he's dead.
I don't know how it works technically, but I know they all in Canada they go on to the Privy Court now.
crazy.
But
That's what the
it's
Privy Council
risky,
is.
eh?
Yeah.
When you're dealing with stuff like that.
Yeah,
it's
there's a
considered
risk. And
There's
guess what?
risk.
And then it not being regulated. Like central bank says our working committee is in place. However, they sent out a notice and they said, if you invest in cryptocurrency, invest at your own risk. So that means don't come to them.
So they probably
And don't go get your lawyer
yeah.
because it ain't even in the courts.
And like you know up front. Yeah.
Mhm.
So they probably knew and still wanted to do it.
Yeah, because you making,
You
think
making
about
the
the Ben
money.
Ladens in there. You can't go to no bank in the world. A lot of people are unbanked. Fast, those are unbanked. They have all this money. So anybody who they could trust, where they have this money, think about it. Where it is. $550 million they made last year. Where it is. Only Bank of the Bahamas would take it, right?
Yeah.
You won't put no money in. There was a bank run a couple of years ago underneath the PLP. Nobody putting deposit insurance is $50,000. Nobody putting more than $50,000 in Bank of the Bahamas.
It's
First of
only,
all,
it's only insured for
50,000, right? Oh, sorry to say you were the bank. I have to watch my mouth.
No, carry on.
No, yeah. So
Boy.
nobody putting it. Come on, think about it.
But that is the truth though.
Where $550 million?
Where you gonna put that?
Yes.
I wish we did. Because I ain't
Twelve
under it.
accounts.
I ain't under it.
No, only one bank taking it.
Only one bank is taken.
Only $50,000.
So if anything was to happen, it's only for sure, it's only insured for no. Who? Yeah, we do. It's only insured for 50,000.
You see all these buildings,
Safe
popping up,
access.
right? That's where it going. Laundering of money or property, right?
Yeah.
So that's why there's a shopping center on every corner. That's where the money is. Because I can now pay the contractor. The contractor can go to the bank and put the money in the bank, right? I have
Does
that.
he have a legitimate
We have a
business?
legitimate business.
One here will be.
One run by RBC, one run by Cornell. It's buildings.
And
Yeah, give
then
me some of that.
I very smart. He's very smart and very business savvy. He just bought the old Scotiabank. They have a vault.
We're supposed to be doing
What I
shares,
can do with a
so.
vault? What can I do with a vault right
Oh,
now
yeah.
if I have $550 million? Have my own bank.
Yes, I think that's really too deep.
So, yeah.
And he's supposed to be
So
doing
this
shares
is why
or
you
something.
read, yeah, and it's a
Right.
good thing to invest in. Think about it. If they make 550 million, they
Yeah.
should be giving you profits within 3 years.
At a good
Yeah, that's
interest
that's
rate.
a good,
At a good
yeah.
interest rate, like 7 or 10%.
Yeah.
I can inquire on my.
But
Yeah.
even a lot of people in the world, and because the regulators can't control them, Facebook is unbanked. Facebook, meaning that nobody expects, is unregulated, because they haven't figured out how to
How to.
regulate the techie world yet. How do you, and they don't want them to figure it out because, again, they're gonna need a compliance officer. They gotta have all this policy and procedure, all that costs. So it is a risk, but if Facebook came to you and say, listen, this bullet, I want you to invest my money, whatever. Oh yeah, I can see you on there. I go on the Facebook. Yeah, but think about it. So that's how they got to that one person from being unbanked and it not being regulated. Once you regulate, it's money. Right? Okay. Yeah, so be familiar with all of these drug dealing and counterfeiting and nobody been to jail. From 2019 years, we good. Let's not be the first. Hmm?
Hold on, you say nobody been to jail?
I mean for fraud, yeah, for fraud. But not
Not.
well, drug dealing.
Theft too.
Drug dealing.
Theft.
Yeah, theft, yeah. But you know, tax evasion. Because we are the tax havens. So, yeah. Okay. And we have human trafficking cases right now. And so, yeah. Yeah.
Did you see there's a video, I think on Facebook with this guy on a little boat or something like that. It's a Bahamian. And he's holding up this basket bag full of money. And he's like, he make up a song, he got the people to eat. So he trafficking the persons from here to Miami. They call him.
And he
saw
made a
it?
song?
Yeah.
Did he make a song?
He's singing. He got
Evidence.
the, I mean, I was
They
like,
get locked up.
yeah,
He took off himself.
right in, I think it's Boca Raton, somewhere there in Miami.
I hope they give him
And you
tipping
could
off
see where he's
five.
going in and whatever. I was like, this is coming.
But how do you get through their borders?
Yeah, so
Trump is up that heavily.
Yeah, and one thing that you don't think about, in my last class, the guy said I worked in Bahama. So when I see these guys come in the casino in the VIP section and they have a bunch of girls who look distraught and like they hide or they incoherent, what should I do? I say, you pay me. What would you do?
Report it.
What you could say?
Yeah.
Yeah, MLRO. Yeah, MLRO. That could possibly be human smuggling. These older men coming to play poker and these very young girls that incoherent. No, they would just say, oh, hey, my business. That's what you can say. You turn in a blind eye.
That's why, man get catch from that thing, man.
There you go.
Because they know when
There
they
you
walk
go.
nothing.
Y'all just watch the stuff on TV where they do a fake, like they beating somebody or they, abusing somebody and they sit around to see if, watching.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's what happened in the past. Because I say, so what have you done? He said, I just was looking nice, just be very afraid of them.
Really?
But then I think in that instance too, and maybe as you would have previously said about manipulation, because if I come to you, if I see that I work in a casino and I see that, and if I come to you as my MLRO, you may not be that person of integrity to do something, or you may then kind of turn it on me and report me, and then I go home. You see what I'm saying? So it's a kind of funny situation in that. Right, it is real in the workplace.
But then that tells you that you're in the right place, so you should be looking for a new job anyway. But you should, something like that, they should have an internal SDI that you fill out, and even confidentially say, listen, this client comes in always with young girls, they always look like they incoherent or they don't know what's going on. Somebody investigate this in the background. They could watch him on the cameras, they could track him, they could, do some research. We had all kind of hookups in Canada and stuff, and Interpol, where run these people to even see who they are. In the banks, we have something called what? World check, right?
World check.
Every time before we do a check for them or whatever, we scan their names. When they send wires or stuff, our system should be automated to check their names to see if these legitimate people or eligible people that we doing business with. Because when we pick up this and then our internal Bible, it says people who we don't do business with, these are undesirable accounts. Anybody who's been charged with money laundering, anybody who's been charged with fraud, theft, counterfeit, all these things, brought before the courts. And so therefore, how do we track it and what do we do? So anonymously, you should be able to fill out an internal one and put it in your employee suggestion box or something if you people feel that the MLR is not confidential or, has a lack of integrity. But for the most part in the retail bank, more so in the offshore world, you'll see the lack of integrity there. Because it's way more pressure. And those accounts would have $10 million and we come around once so often, so that officer will sleep into your door, have you open that so they could get their commission. Yeah, but we can't turn a blind eye. That's why we here, that's why we in the bank, we are the gatekeepers. Right? And compliance is everybody's business, not just the MLRO. Right? Yeah, okay.
In the Bahamas, the Proceeds of Crime Act refers to identified risks. The identified risks are defined in the Proceeds of Crime Act as corruption, cybercrime, human trafficking, money laundering, or financing of proliferation of weapons of mass destruction, terrorism, or financing of terrorism, of such other risks as prescribed by regulations. Identified risk offenses include all of the above, including the following: an offense under the Prevention of Bribery Act, an offense under the Proceeds of Crime Act, an offense under the Anti-Terrorism Act 2018, an offense which may be tried on information in the Bahamas other than drug trafficking offense, an offense under sections 109 to 120 of the Securities Industry Act 2011, an offense under the Environmental Planning and Protection Act 2018, an offense under sections 63 to 68 of the Trademarks Act 2015, an offense under section 77 to 81 of the Patents Act 2015, an offense under the section 63 of the Penal Code Act, an offense committed anywhere that if it had occurred in the Bahamas would constitute an offense in the Bahamas as set out in the schedule to the Act. Money launderers may be members of organized crime groups and the proceeds of their drug trafficking and racketeering activities.
Okay, so you can pick up like 10 different charges there. Jesus, right? But we only had a 4 charge. You did? Right? Okay. So like I said, all of these is scenarios just like I talked about the painted guy or the person who in the number or whatever. So you can read them and then if you understand them or just follow the arrows and even online they will break it down and tell you exactly what happened and how it happened if you want more detail on it. Okay? And it's just basically a scenario where, they tried to place money into the system. They did some crime, tried to place it in the financial system, wash it, and then get it back on the community. Okay? Any questions? We have a little overview. No, now or forever going to teach. Let me know. Anything? As we go along, we getting it? Okay. Let's go on to chapter 2. Terrorist financing. Not all at once. Not all at once. She halfway down 50 and
My sinus rhythms are not today.
sinus. Okay.
Understanding terrorist financing. What is terrorism? The objective of terrorism is to intimidate a population or to compel a government or an international organization to do or abstain from doing any act, International Convention of the Suppression of the Financing of Terrorism adopted in December 1999. In contrast to other crimes, the main objective is to not financially gain. Is not financial gain. What is terrorism financing? This is the gathering of funds with the purpose or to be used, in full or in part, to carry out acts associated with terrorist groups. The funds collected may be either to commit an act of terrorism or to further the terrorist organization causes.
And this is normally an essay question too. What do terrorists do and why? Right? What is their purpose? Or what are their aims? What are their objectives? Right? Okay.
Terrorist organizations need financing to finance a wide variety of purposes: recruitment, training, weapons, travel, materials, safe haven protection. It is believed that terrorists raise funds by the abuse of charities or legitimate businesses. Financing through members or sympathizers. Criminal activity, drug trafficking, check fraud, credit card fraud, extortion. State patron.
State patrons, like the other day, the guy who was running for the 2020 election, he made $6 million in one day. Y'all saw that on the news?
$6 million
yeah,
in one day.
In one day, he got people to sponsor him $6 million. So of course, you know, every compliance committee would be
So what he did?
vetting him. Campaign trail. He supports. I'm Coca-Cola. I need him to pass through a bill or whatever. I gotta make sure he wins, because when he wins, he go pass through the bills that I need him to pass through, or put in place what I need him to put in place. So I can support him. But of course, you know, their standards committee and everybody go vet him and check every single sponsor that he get, because it could be for he go allow some security breaches, so I can send another plane through the World Trade Center. You never know, you know. But somebody want him to win, right? Because that's his first day he signed on and announced I will run for 2020 O'Burke. He didn't even win his primary, so I say he run for Detroit. He didn't even win that. He lost by 2 points. Somebody backing him for president.
So do they do background
Of
checks?
course. That's why I say
Like-
that alone. That been on the news. That run on CNN for days. They go turn him upside down. If he get that legitimately, he'll give that back. Like, I'm still finished with it.
It's serious?
Yeah. Don't worry about that. Yeah. Okay.
State patrons, activities in failed states, activities in safe havens, gambling, online or in securities market, robbery, smuggling, counterfeit goods. Examples of terrorist acts are the 9/11, Madrid or London bombings, which required a substantial amount of time and money to be carried out. The global effort against terrorism is aimed at pursuing, interrupting, and stifling the flow of funds.
You get it?
Terrorism financing may involve legitimate or illegitimate funds or values, proceeds of crimes, which have been earned from legitimate or illegitimate business transactions. It is difficult to identify the transmission of money to finance terrorist activity as it moves through the financial system. However, disrupting the transfer of financial support for terrorism makes it tougher for terrorists to operate.
Okay, so we're not gonna read this, but let's talk about Bin Laden. Okay, everybody knows Bin Laden, right? So let's think about Bin Laden and his network. So if I decided to tell my parents at this age, I stopped working now, I'm not going back to teaching any longer, I have to move home in the house with my children, right? How long do you think I could live home before my mother asked me, when you go find a job,
3 months.
3 to 6 months.
3 months.
Like now.
3 weeks.
my mother will bring me the newspaper tomorrow, and she'll say you and them children find a job, right? You don't have
So
the
you
same
want
parents.
insurance?
You don't have the same parents I have,
No.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
right? Hmm?
No,
No,
I
yeah.
stay home all day, all day.
Every day and don't work. You could leave your job?
Yeah, I could.
Really? Well, we coming by you then, okay?
No.
So Bin Laden had the type of parents
Going
she had then,
Charlie.
okay? Because after September 11, everybody knows what happened on September 11. He lived for 10 years with concubines and children in a 2-story house. After. After. Obama, you all know when Obama sent the mission and he got killed.
Yeah.
So, and he needed insulin every day. So he didn't live, when you go to your parents' house, you would live in air condition with your concubines and your husbands and your 10 children. That's just too much.
I said with me, not the rest of them.
Okay, and people today who need he needed insulin every day, right? Who need medication today? And
You
they
dying,
working.
you dying and you still doing foolishness?
Okay, you need insulin every day to live, but you could afford it. I can't even afford, these expensive medications with a job. What you think without what? So how did he survive?
Terrorist finance, right?
Yeah.
Criminal activity.
Yeah.
And his
Everyone
network.
came together.
And his network.
And supported him.
And so after, you remember I told you, but the FATF and them putting in the 40 recommendations. After September 11, they created 9 special recommendations just specifically on terrorist financing, which countries must put into place. And so from those 9 terrorist recommendations, we put in our Anti-Terrorism Act. And then of course, that trickled down, right? But he survived, and he lived a lavish life. So that could only mean that he had a very, very strong network, right? Okay, so let's look at this. Let's look at this same page, and we can read 1 or 2 of these things, and you'll be astounded on how he survived. And because remember now, we put in all the laws, everybody have to bring their passport, their national insurance, we know all the vetting mechanisms, the compliance professionals and everything. Let's read some of these. How ISIS terrorists finance their attacks.
So I continue?
Continue.
How do ISIS terrorists finance their attacks? Meeting in Turkey just 2 days after the horrific terrorist attacks in Paris, leaders of the G20 countries issued a statement condemning recent Islamic State or Iraq and Syria ISIS attacks and reaffirmed their commitment to combat terrorism. More specifically, the group of industrial nations recommitted itself to tackling the financing channels of terrorism, which begs the question, how does ISIS finance its international operation? ISIS is primarily financed through a wide array of criminal activities, large and small, centered in the parts of Syria and Iraq that are under the group's control. ISIS steals livestock, sells foreign fighter passports, taxes minorities and farmers and truckers, runs a sophisticated extortion racket, kidnaps civilians for ransom payments, loots antiquities, and much more. It also makes about $40 million a month in illicit oil sales alone, but these sources are primarily support the group's expensive state building and war fighting enterprises back home, ranging from paying teachers' salaries and collecting garbage to bribing tribal leaders and paying fighter salaries. This is, however, an entrepreneurial financing model that ISIS recruits and supporters around the world have been encouraged to use to fund whatever, either their travel to ISIS-controlled land or perhaps their attacks in the West. While it is too soon to state with any certainty how the Paris attacks were funded. The likelihood is that they were funded in whole or in part through local criminal activities or otherwise legal activities such as the use of state welfare benefits or taking out loans.
Taking out the loan to finance a terrorist attack.
How do they do that? Like, what, through someone else?
They will go into the bank and perhaps say, I want a vacation loan, I want this or what have you, and they get the loan.
I'm not certain if I read this in this book or where I read it, but I know that Obama gave either Syria or Iran a couple $1 million to fight the other country. But both of them have terrorists, so isn't that him like low-key financing terrorism?
But there are conspiracy theories out there that, you know, when they went into Afghanistan or wherever the war was, they left the tankers, they left the guns, they left all that equipment that they took there, and the Syrian leaders or the ISIS people then took them over, and now they operating with that. So essentially, did not the U.S. support the war?
Yeah.
By giving them
But
a
why would you do
grant?
that though?
That's
Like,
They
you
said it was
left
very
nothing-
expensive to take it there. They wasn't paying for it to be.
Which, if you
Millions
don't
of
have
dollars in
anything,
military.
anything in place to secure it, cause you coming back to it, why
No,
you
you're
would-
coming back to it. We catch Bin Laden. The war is over.
Yeah.
It's finished. Now y'all take care of your own country. But being handed over to the military, we just leave the tankers parked on the
But
side
it
of
ain't
the
gonna
road.
work like that, because they release children off
Be very
to die.
Yeah, be careful of America. Be careful. You have to know. America been at war for 75 years. Okay, so they spend their funding like how we just did our budget last week. Our money going to education, the hospital, different things like that. Every budget, the majority, the most money goes to their military and for their war, right? Because they have to be the most powerful country in the world. Yeah, so
This was under Obama.
no, under
I mean, when he
Before
left the
him.
equipment.
yeah,
This was
yeah.
under Obama.
Yeah, yeah. But
That wasn't smart.
I don't think he would have had he should have had the authority to say it must come back, but that's their way. That's their way of letting the war continue. That's their way of the fight for oil. It's a whole story. Yeah, it will go too deep. It goes too deep. But yeah, pay attention to all these. It will wake up your senses. Yeah.
None of these would surprise, since authorities have been tracking the use of such funding schemes by prospective Foreign Action Task Force. Report identified several potential revenue streams.
The FATF, that's what the FATF,
Financial
the Financial Action
Task-
Task Force.
What happened just now?
You missed that.
line, the whole line.
Yeah, cause I miss it too.
Oh,
Cause I
okay.
wear glasses,
Oh,
so I had to use
okay.
the pen.
That's what I'm
Try
trying to
it.
say.
Okay.
Sorry about
Mhm.
that.
No problem. The Financial Action
Alright,
Task Force.
indeed, earlier this year, a financial action task force report identified several potential revenue streams for would-be foreign terrorist fighters, including robbery and drug trafficking, various social
Service payments.
service payments, and unpaid loans. Some potential plotters or travelers took on a short-term jobs to raise money they needed. While
They need it. No, that why I miss it here.
Okay, to raise money they needed, while others simply drew on their savings or student loans.
Okay, so could you imagine your child taking a summer job to send them money to ISIS?
Yeah.
Could you send your child to get a scholarship, the scholarship money come instead of paying the school, he sent it to ISIS and he sent out this semester.
Look here.
I just wanna figure out why is he supporting these people?
That's sympathizers. They believe in what they promoting, and in that the Muslim world, you call a martha, what is a martha or maida or whatever martha, and they believe that when you die for your country, you go to heaven and you have 10
So that's
surgeons
why-
and 10 big houses and mansions and what have you. So that's why it's
That's why
suicide
they
bombing.
that's why they train
Them,
them to,
right.
to
Yeah.
I couldn't understand it.
Yeah, but just like we believe in Christianity, because that's how we grew up in the house, strictly Jehovah Witness. Imagine from birth, these children are growing into this. Those persons who went into the World Trade Center were training to be a pilot from they was born. Their parents told them you all will be pilots and this and that. They went to flight school and everything, and all their friends was in America. And their
Yeah,
friends were
that's
very
good.
surprised who they graduated with, that these were the people who drove through the World Trade Center. And now they feel like they're going to heaven.
Now it's making sense to me.
Yeah,
It's like you see you just killing yourself.
that's how they were trained.
Consider a few examples.
Don't worry about pronouncing it.
Say
Michael, who murdered a Canadian soldier before attacking Canadian Parliament buildings in October 2014, worked at one of the Alberta oil fields to raise money for his attempted travel to Syria. Petty crime has the potential to bring in sufficient funds for a homegrown attack or transportation to a combat zone as well. There is the case of the 15-year-old boy in Montreal who held up a convenience store with a knife, stealing some $2,200 to pay for his plane ticket out of Canada. The teen's father turned him into the police after finding the money in his son's bag. Or take the 4 men arrested in February in Brooklyn, NY, for attempting to join ISIS. Some of their funds were supplied by a supporter who operated mall kiosks selling kitchenware and cell phones. According to the indictment, a round trip ticket to Istanbul cost a mere $598. One of the defendants expected that he would not need to bring more than $400 to travel to Syria because he would not have any concerns in the land of the Islamic State. In Britain,
The Metropolitan.
the Metropolitan Police Counterterrorism Command Unit has noticed several cases where jihadists finance themselves through state-funded welfare payments.
So I go down to social service and I say, I'm unemployed, I have 5 children, can we, in America you get up to $800.
per
Per
child.
month?
No per month, and you get like food stamps and everything per month. And so imagine going to social services or whatever, getting this $800, but it ain't for me and my children. I sending it to front ISIS.
Wow.
So now you see how Bin Laden lived and how he stayed below the radar. So he didn't necessarily have to go. I mean, he used legitimate people to go through the financial system who wouldn't be trapped. Okay.
More recently, Yahya Rashid used his students' loans and educational grants to cover the travel costs for himself and 4 friends to go join ISIS in Syria via Morocco and Turkey. Closer to home, Christopher Cornell, who stands accused of plotting to detonate pipe bombs at the U.S. Capitol and to shoot people as they ran away, simply saved money to conduct his attack. According to the FBI, in several cases, including the shooting in Canada, individuals who traveled to Syria was thwarted, turned to deadly attacks at home instead, easily redirecting transportation funds toward homegrown acts of terrorism.
Okay, we can stop right there. So you finish read this at home. Okay, so you can be astounded at how they survive, how they save. People save. You trying to save money to buy a car, they saving their money to send ISIS. Okay,
Yeah.
state sponsors, social service, a school
Who
get
got
student
all
loan.
those ideas they had in place in order to,
Okay, to stay below the radar, and that is what they do. Okay, so here it is, we blocking up the financial system, we creating more paper, you have to sign, they putting it in bold, you must do this, and they
Many
using
people.
common things that you use every day to, and this is
Yeah.
how we survive for 10 years.
wow.
And then you obviously have a very strong network where these people will support you, your family will support you, and you know, so
Because I'm sure it was not just in Islam. I'm sure
all
this
over
network
these
is
Islamic,
not
yeah,
just there.
confined there. No, this person was in Canada. Somebody was in America. They were sending this money. They wasn't in Yemen or Syria doing this work, getting a student loan, going to social service.
This
In
was
America?
that their whole life was based on just
Fulfilling
Fulfilling
this
this.
purpose, yes. Yeah. Yeah, so y'all finish reading and we'll talk some more when we come on Thursday now. Thursday from 6 to 9. Okay, good. Any questions? Lots of information.
a lot.
Yeah. And the books have, like I say, it's only 8 chapters, but all of these is just scenarios and scenarios and scenarios. So once we get 1 or 2, we get the point. But just to know, because a lot of people are shocked and surprised. They never even thought people would do these type of things. But obviously something happening because he did survive. You know, and then we have a lot of homegrown terrorists now. The guy in Paris just took his truck and swerved it into a crowd of people and killed a lot of people. Because he was a supporter of ISIS. Another guy in California waited to, it was his Christmas party, went to his Christmas party and shot 30 people with his baby and his wife in the car. And so his wife had to, his wife had to prove that she didn't know what, Even the guy who went into Las Vegas, he sent his girlfriend $200,000 the day before, so you buy yourself something nice, and then he went and shot down into the festival they was having and killed 50 people there in Las Vegas. Yeah. So don't just think about ISIS and, you know, a lot of homegrown terrorism almost every day. And people that support them. So out of every bad thing, we need something good. We want that strong network where people support us, and you know. And could you imagine if, you know, you just say, we pay dues, we save this money, we do this, we invest.
C5.
There you go. Make it happen. Good. All right, good. So see y'all on Thursday and do some reading, get so you familiar, you know, with it. No questions? Everybody running, everybody just ready, like, oh, this bullet. We out of here. Enjoy your weekend, relax. Put it down and then take it back up. So your brain will relax a little. Yeah. It's a lot, but honey, you can do it. Don't worry. And then you get some rest, and then
I get practice, I get game, and then go rest.
okay, good rest before you pick the book back up so you can retain it. All right, take care. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. In the parking lot.
Good day.
Yeah, right across the road. Yeah. I'm saying, yeah. Get the bullet. I mean, Miss Dean up there. Yeah.
Thank you.
Everybody trying to register, right? You too. Very good.
Yes, very, very, very good. So on the exams, because it says a 3 hour exam. So
the information that's in this book.
For the exam, yeah, and then like I said, you have to do research. A lot of stuff is at the back, and you can read just like I'll be reading this thing on ISIS. It's in the back there somewhere. All of this will help you because again, you create scenarios. Like I say, each question will be 10 points each essay question, and you know how to write an essay. You know, the introduction and the body and then the conclusion. So you open with what is money laundering, you know, the proceeds of crime. And then that same question about placement or integration, they normally explain placement in the money laundering stage, or, you know, how does it work? And that's where you document scenario. And see, I walk her through it because a lot of people just skip the whole answer and they jump to, or they use acronyms so you don't know and you lose points. But if you document it properly step by step, you'll get it.
The majority of the questions are like that essay questions and asking within this book.
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely from the book. I'll print you all off a past exam. So
That's nice.
you'll get practice on it. Like I say, the key thing is not to get overwhelmed by it.
Because it's like I'm saying, it's 4 weeks. Can you really retain all of this information in 4 weeks?
This is just an intro. You come here and you decide, is this for me or not? That's all it is. You'll go more in depth and detail in intermediate, and that's where you have to write one of the papers for 2,000 words, plus you have an exam, and then you have quizzes every class or every other class just to, you know, keep abreast.
And the intermediate is longer.
10 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah, so again, this just preparation, so you get the feel of it, and you know if you can handle ICA. This is just 2 to 5 pages each chapter. ICA is like 90 and 100 pages each chapter.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So like I said, that's why you have to be able to read. If you, and you know the hardest thing, if you want to hide something from people, you put in a book, right? Yeah. Reading is very difficult for people in the world to do.
At least to understand.
Yeah.
You read it. And
Especially if you don't have
verbatim.
anything to apply it to.
Yeah.
That's why.
So you work in a binder?
No,
Me
I work in
neither.
customer service.
Hi, 2 minutes.
No, I mean, not in financial institutions.
Oh, I work for, so you give me a call.
Oh, okay, yeah, so you should definitely.
I have an idea of what our compliance department does, but
Mhm.
then like hearing you talk, it's more than that. Because I guess every company has their own, like you said, own rules and
Rules,
regulations.
regulations, you're right.
So in our company, like yeah, we would require persons to bring in some information,
Mhm.
but then not really as much as.
As the banks, yeah.
Yeah.
But still, a lot of the gaming houses,
Mhm.
they come to the class. Yeah.
Well, all that's new to me.
You work in gaming too?
I work at a prison.
Oh, you work in prison, okay.
That's new.
Okay, but I'm sure they have a administrative department and you have to make sure that the prison compliant with security, with I guess have sufficient food, with inmates being manned. All of those type of things have to be checked.
And then like, well, with our compliance, so that means I know that you do your due diligence because when I don't know if you know her, what's her name? The lady who got arrested for those hundreds of thousands of Dawn Bapper. Okay, so she used to get checks from our company and stuff like that. So I guess once she got arrested, they locked her account automatically, so she couldn't use it. And then they flagged her account. But did they do that because she got arrested, or they do that because she did business but not really with the company?
No, they did that because she got arrested.
Okay.
Yeah, once, and see, that's just it. That's why you have to keep abreast of the news and know what's going on.
Dawn Bapper.
Yeah.
She in jail now.
Yeah, she should be in jail now.
Yeah. Once you get arrested, yeah, you have to lock down that account because more than likely they are coming to your financial institution.
No, yeah,
And you better make sure that your books are up to date
Understood.
and everything is compliant because you will now be charged with collusion. We didn't get a proper passport, or it expired, or we didn't fill this out, or we didn't do that. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so be very careful.
That's why I
with that.
think you'll start doing the new thing when you have to bring your passport and voter's card
Yeah,
to
because
stay
you have to
and
enter.
utility bill to stay where you live,
Address.
and that's where they can flag you up to
Y'all
see
can
you
come.
as a red flag.
Hello. Good afternoon.
see all my
I see you looking, I
experts.
see you looking up at the clock like,
All my experts. Yeah, they on their way on up. They almost there. They my best students. So I'm glad they here to take you under their wing and keep you encouraged. They give you all the information you need to practice. There you go.
Just one
See?
on,
Yeah.
I work in compliance after the day.
They just like be stressed out, mom. They just my straight A students. They just get 200%.
I know these three together.
Yeah, they just get 200% and then fight me for a grade. But they can take you under their wing and keep you on track. There you go. They can teach you everything they know.
Enjoy your Saturday,
You too, take care. Your luck ready? Y'all ready? Don't tell yourself you can't do it.
Oh.